I'm joining you, bro. No way. Let's do it. Here we go. Looking good, bro. Ready to play.
Yeah, we tried to get that up as fast as possible, but that is the news that broke literally about 90 minutes ago. But we're here to break it all down. We're all in shock on this one right now. Welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey. Great to have you guys with us. Can't wait to talk about this. I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams. Delighted to be back with the host of the Final Buzzer, Mr. John Fulkowski.
Yeah, big trade here. A lot to talk about with this. Is this the first in a mass exodus of American star players going out of Canadian markets? I mean, we'll see. We're not even in July yet. We still got 9 days left in June. This is crazy to think about. So yeah. Let's get into things.
Phil, I gotta apologize. I should have put up the Final Buzzer thing for this. And instead,
we don't really need to worry about that.
Well, I also got to apologize to myself because I really like the editing on it. So that's the other thing with that. But this is a tectonic plate that moved today, and the earthquake is going to be felt all over the NHL right now. So let's get down to that, where we got just a reminder this week, everybody. We got Rangers postseason wrap-up coming up. We also got an NHL mock draft coming up this week, NHL draft coverage. We're going to be previewing the NHL draft on Wednesday, as well as covering the NHL draft from beginning to end. How will Chris Drury screw this up for the New York Rangers? And much, much more. And let's start with the news of the day. Florida Panthers acquire Brady Tkachuk from the Ottawa Senators for the 9th and 25th overall picks of this NHL draft. They have the 2029 first-round pick going to Ottawa and the second-round pick in 2030 going there. We're going to break down what Florida has left as far as draft pick goes in a minute. But you take a look at the numbers of Brady Tkachuk in his career, and he was a three-time All-Star. Phil, quick question for you. What was the last brother combination to win the Stanley Cup?
Nothing this year. Nothing here for no one in St. Louis. The last I could think of, probably off the top of my head, I think you'd probably have to go back to Anaheim in 2007 with the Niedermeyer brothers.
Bingo. Going to the Niedermeyer brothers, Scott and Rob, who were part of Anaheim when they won the Cup.
I don't think there's been anything since.
Yeah, so Phil, let's break this down. Brady Tkachuk is joining Matthew. I acquiesce to you, man. What are your thoughts on this right now?
Florida's got to be the Cup favorite right now. They were my Cup favorite even for this season, even before this trade. I expected them to come back healthy and just be the team that they've been before. Their core's in place. That Sergei Bobrovsky contract comes off the books, and they have they have that extra cap space now. I mean, and you lose Mackie Samoskevich and you gain Brady Tkachuk out of it. Like, that team just got harder to play against. And they got a guy that can give you 30-plus goals and 70 to 80-plus points. This is a good question, John. I do think that you could probably either see Bobrovsky re-sign, or they could go in another direction, or even this, like, do they take other assets and really go after Hellebuyck? Like, I don't know if they have the pieces to get it done, but you got to remember, goaltending markets are hard to gauge because they're so volatile, and those trades are usually very complicated. They're also very rare that you see goaltenders moved in deals like that. So I would not be shocked if they went after Hellebuyck. I just wonder if they have the pieces to get it done. But regardless, this team is the favorite to win it. And you just saw Brandon Bussey, an completely unproven goaltender, win the Stanley Cup over Carter Hart, who got to the finals, who was the other goalie, obviously in the other net. But it's just, I don't know who beats Florida now. I don't, and I don't think they're done making moves, and I don't think that they're going to be quiet at the next trade deadline. I think they are coming back for their championship. They are bringing hell's wrath with them. That is a team that I am absolutely scared of if I'm every other team in the NHL, specifically the Eastern Conference right now.
Phil, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that, yes, I'm still looking at Connor Hellebuck to end up in Florida. I don't know how he would end up in Florida. That's a great question. What assets do they have left to try to ship them all down? But I do have to say, I mean, we saw Sam Miscavige move late this afternoon, and all of us kind of said in our group chat, big trade coming. Yeah, they didn't wait. They pulled the trigger now. Now, obviously, everybody was saying for a while, Brady Tkachuk going to Florida. He's gonna want to be with his brother. But we kind of didn't know the package that was going to be getting there. We figured, obviously, everybody kind of kept on that speculation, soft tampering that Larry Brooks was talking about. But kind of figured other teams might jump in on this. I said the New Jersey Devils should try to finagle a move to get him in here. But you look at this, this is a big move for them. And a healthy Brady, Brad Marchand, a healthy Alexander Barkov, Carter Verhaeghe. I mean, this team is loaded. They are absolutely loaded at the forward position. And I think they're going to probably attack everything better than the way Tampa is. Because I think Tampa is so top heavy, you can't really look elsewhere. I mean, you could just look at their team and go to the leading scorers. Who's on the power play? Bang, your top 5 scorers. That's Tampa. That's not going to be Florida. Florida's going to be a little bit more evenly balanced. And I could see Bobrovsky coming back on a team-friendly deal. Why not? He's up there. But Phil, he's 37, and he just came off the worst season of his career. So I'm not sure whether or not he might be a viable answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. His comment's great. First team to get 1,000 penalty minutes.
I mean, yeah. That is, well, first off, that is a great line.
Oh, man. That's funny, dude. That's funny. Well done.
But by the way, Phil, you can kind of see a little bit of the 93 Penguins in this team, right? With Rick Tocchet.
Not really. I get what you're getting at. The 93 Penguins were a stacked offensive powerhouse. They're actually the last team to have 4 100-point scorers and 6 players or more to finish with 80 or more points. That's like, that offense was like once in a generation. And this Panthers team doesn't have Lemieux. Like Mario Lemieux had probably his best season ever in 93. He was on pace for over 220 points. So, and now we got Jim with us. And it's funny because in our group text, Jim was like, oh, well, the Panthers are loading up for a gigantic move here. He was kind of a little off on the player.
Yeah, but was that wrong that they were going to load up on something?
No, you were right.
Yeah,
I mean, look,
they still big move was coming.
They still ain't done yet.
No, you're right. That's what I was saying before. I don't think this team is done. In the sense that I don't think they're done making moves. Maybe it's not. Maybe I don't know what other moves they have planned in the offseason, but I think they're going to make a move at the deadline to put themselves further over the top. Like I said, Zito and the Panthers they're back with hell's wrath at their side. Like they want that title back, and they're going to go through hell or high water to get it.
Yeah, I mean, look, they definitely were. They're definitely doing some stuff. Like I think they still need a goaltender for sure. I mean, look, They've been linked to Hellebuck. They've been linked to Bennington. Could they re-sign Bobrovsky? I mean, it's going to be tough to do that. But, I mean, maybe Bob now takes a hometown discount for them. But, look, I think we all kind of knew this Brady Tkachuk thing was coming. We just didn't know when. And I think good on the player, the team, and everybody to keep it quiet. Because I think we kind of saw it last offseason, even last year at times. He was being linked to teams. But I think everything hit the fan after the Olympics this year. And I think the big reason was, you're a player. The first thing you have to deal with is controversy, but now you can't talk about it. You have to talk about all this controversy instead of winning a gold medal.
Yeah. And by the way, Jim, I can't help but think about you're obviously coming off the set of Backrooms right now. The movie that's in theaters with never mind. I guess you haven't seen it yet.
No, I have not seen it yet.
All right. Well, that and also I got a clip from Obsessed that I'm going to be using in future stuff. But Jim, were there ever any other suitors potentially for Brady Tkachuk, or was it Florida or bust?
It sounds like Minnesota made a big offer. Sounds like Carolina was in the mix for him. And obviously Vegas. So take it for what you will. But those were the suitors. In Minnesota, I think he just wanted to go play with his brother. Oh, gee, what a shock. Brothers wanting to play together.
Yeah. You can't always play with your brother.
No, you can't. But
yeah, if you have a chance to do it, though, and Eric, so I see a lot of discourse about the Rangers and trading for him and everything like that, and people saying that this would have been a disaster and so on. And I do agree with that, because Brady Tkachuk is not a guy you build your offense around.
no,
He's a guy that you bring in to be like a number 2 or 3 in that offense, and kind of he helps drag everybody into that fight.
Yeah.
And while the Rangers do need that type of guy, like, giving up that package for him would have been awful for a team that needs to rebuild.
Yes.
Florida was the perfect team to make that deal and just go for it. They don't care. They're all about now. They don't care about the future. Their core pieces are locked up at reasonable deals for a while. Just go get the guy and go win another Stanley Cup. That is literally the modus operandi with them right now.
Oh, 100% it is. It's 100% the modus operandi to go win a Stanley Cup right now. And look, I think they put themselves right in the mix with this move. 100% put themselves in the mix next year to go win a Stanley Cup. But again, I think you guys touched on it. We've touched on it too. That Team USA locker room at the Olympics was a recruiting trip for a lot of players.
Yeah.
It became college recruiting. It became, I want to say transfer portal type stuff, but we're getting into the range of the transfer portal and college athletics with this move.
Yeah, and that's where I have a little bit of issue with that sometimes. I know it's well within players' rights, and especially it's his brother. Of course, he's going to want to go play with his brother. But, I mean, that's why I think the last time you were on, I mentioned that the Jersey Devils should try to really kick the tires to try to see if they could get Brady Tkachuk, try to, like, maybe even like a Jesper Bratt for Brady Tkachuk type of move. But this is just, I mean, you got to wonder about the tectonic plates that move. Now, we're focusing mostly on Florida. We all know Florida is going to be a juggernaut. What does this exactly do to Ottawa, though? Does this put them back?
That's funny you're saying that, Mark, because that actually ties into this question right here. So that's like a perfect segue.
It sounds like it from Dave Pagnotta that they are loading up to go see if they can make a run at Jason Robertson.
Wait, Florida or
no,
Ottawa?
Ottawa.
Yeah, Ottawa going to get him would be like massive. So, like, I guess you could take the picks acquired, Jordan Spence, and then whatever else you could think of, and go get Robertson. And Robertson is, I mean, but I
here's
don't
the
think
issue.
Dallas wants to let him go, though.
No, Dallas wants to sign him. Jim Nill said so as much yesterday on the radio. And that's their number one priority is to sign Jason Robertson. The issue becomes is if Ottawa offer sheets him, now they have the picks to do it.
It's got to be their own picks.
Right, exactly. Well, they have picks. They have first-round picks that they can use if they wanted to. I still think they're trying to go get a defenseman and Rasmus Ristolainen in. But the question becomes is does Jason Robertson want to go there? And if you're Ottawa, do you want to take another – like here's the domino effect with this thing, right? The American players in Canada thing is going to come up again. Like, if I'm a team in Canada, am I drafting an American player? Am I signing an American player? Look, we know what's going on in Montreal. That's all well and good because they're winning. Does Jason Robertson want to go to Ottawa?
Well, I think one thing that's going to help Jason Robertson was he wasn't on the U.S. Olympic team. It seemed like it was a bit of a hit piece with a lot of these guys. And, look, we're not one to talk about politics on this show, but it does seem like politics played a role in this. That even going to the White House was an issue. And I've been on record saying Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. You go to the White House, in my opinion. Now,
THG, for an offer sheet, Florida's picks are not going to come into play. You have to use your own your own picks for that. And I'm looking at Ottawa's pick situation right now on cap wages. They have a first this year. They have 3 first-rounders this year. That's crazy enough. They don't have a second. They have 3 thirds. They don't have their 4th.
But they could trade for him if they don't want to offer, if they can't offer shit.
Yeah, I was about to say I think they would be better off trading for him because then you could throw in something like Jordan Spence, who I think a lot of teams would like to have.
Right.
I think he's a very good young two-way defenseman, probably a little better offensively than he is defensively, but like still decent in his own zone.
Yeah,
I definitely like that. I definitely like that idea, but I just don't see Robertson leaving Dallas. I'm sorry.
Neither do I. I don't think and I think they'll clear the cap space with Ilya Lyubushkin getting traded. I still think they'll do that. So.
And according to this, Florida still has $8.1 million left of cap space, by the way. Although they have no AJ Greer, no Tomas Nosek, and no one in net right now. So they got to figure it out.
Yeah, well, they're either going to go get a goalie or they're going to sign Bob and convince
Lyubushkin, like if you get rid of him, that's $3.25 million added to about just over $11 million in cap space. So you got $14 million, and you're gonna need most of that to sign Robertson.
Yeah,
but you also have to sign Maverick Bork. Now Maverick Bork becomes an offer sheet target.
Well, I think Jim Nill's resigned to the fact that he's probably losing Maverick Bork.
I wonder.
Well, the way he talked on the radio yesterday, he's like, "We have plans in place if we can keep them, if we can't keep them."
I wonder if there's a way that Dallas could move Tyler Seguin. Like,
I think they want to move Tyler Seguin.
I just probably are going to have to retain 50% of that. But even if you retain 50% of $9.85 million, that's almost $5 million that you are saving off your books. That's going to do enough to, 1, make sure that you have the necessary space for Robertson. 2, might even be able to help you retain Maverick Bork if you can do that.
Right. Exactly.
Jim, one thing I got to ask you right here is, do you think the attitude about first-round draft picks is starting to change around the NHL? You look at the Florida Panthers, whom – after this trade, they don't have a first rounder this year, next year, 2028, 2029. They don't have one until 2030. They do have some second round picks. They got 2 in the second round this year, 2 in the second round next year. Then you look at, say, the other team that was that actually beat them the first time they went into the Cup Finals in the recent runs to go to, which is the Vegas Golden Knights. They don't have first round pick this year, next year. Is that like the new blueprint around the NHL? Just deal away all your first round picks, and because obviously Julian Breezeblatt thought the same thing for years.
Yeah, I mean, I think the players say F them picks, right? Like, I think that's the
yeah, baby. Right here. This is what I'm talking about. Fuck them picks.
Yeah, exactly. So
baby.
I think that's the attitude around these teams that have like put good cores together till like 2030. So I think that's the plan for sure for the Florida Panthers is just, hey, you know what? Like Julian Breezeblatt said, these players aren't going to help you now. They're going to help you 3 years from now, but do you really need to, are you really, benefiting from that? So I think teams that need to, recoup trade assets can use, players like that, can use those assets to their advantage, like Ottawa, like, could say Detroit, but do they want to go into another rebuild? And, I think now that the domino fell on Brady Tkachuk, I wonder when the Dylan Larkin trade happens.
And we got Evan from Rangers Central now joining us.
Buddy,
Evan,
what's up?
Yeah, your reaction.
I was stunned because I was going to take a nap and I see Bobby McMahon extended. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I see more tweets from insiders coming and I'm like, okay, how many times do we have to confirm the McMahon thing? And then I open up the tweet and see it's Brady Tkachuk and I'm like, holy shit, we're officially entering the super team era, because this is just insane that we have now had 2 or 3 star players, potentially even more you could argue now, that have said, I only want to be in Carolina, Vegas, Florida, or Minnesota. Like, those are the only teams that guys want to be in right now. We're officially in the super team era. It's amazing what happens when your goalie's big contract is up, the way you could, flex your cap a little bit. But all I can say is...
Wait. Which of us... Wow. You know what? Fucking, I'm not even going to take my victory lap on this. The 3 of you could join me on that. I know you guys have been with me on that since day one. But go on. Sorry.
All I could say, just from the trade standpoint, like, because I'll get into my Rangers thoughts connected to this because I have to. But for just the standpoint of both teams, I think Florida, you got to take a swing. Your window's open right now. And why not go for one of these superstars? Whether you go for a guy like Brady Tkachuk, whether you go for Dylan Larkin, Jason Robertson,
hold on. What is it?
There's a spectator that fell off from the Chase Bridge.
Yeah, that happened.
It
happened.
Passed away, I assume.
I believe so. Yeah.
Actually, I think he lived.
No.
Did he?
Oh, he did. He's gone. Sorry.
Wow, that's awful. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just saw that. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, they didn't interrupt the show either.
No, you're good. Don't worry. But
wait. What show? Who was playing?
I forgot the concert. I think it was a concert going on.
Yeah, the band didn't know about it at all during the show.
They Owen-hearted this, basically.
Kind of. Let me look up what band it was.
Jesus, that's crazy.
Okay, sorry, Evan. Go ahead.
Hard to segue from that, but from the Panthers side of things, this makes sense to do because I thought also, just again, like, I'm going to slightly connect to the Rangers quickly one time. It's amazing to me, too, how they could have used this ammo to go get Connor Hellebuck easily, but they opted to go with Brady Tkachuk, which I find very interesting, despite not having a goalie sign. But why not? Because when your top 9 is that, you're going to have, 10 or 15 shots against each night when your top 9 is just caving the opposing team in the entire night, considering how good this top 9 is. And you still have Evan Rodriguez on the 4th line right now, which I probably move. Jim cut out there, but I'm assuming he's going to say the same thing I was going to say, that they're probably going to move Rodriguez or Luster-Ryan to get a goalie or get a defenseman, if I had to guess. But good on Florida for expanding their window too, because you add Brady Tkachuk to this, and not only when, Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe start to fizzle out, you'll still have Lundell, both Tkachuk brothers, for the foreseeable future. And we knew when that Skamaskevich trade went down, something big was happening. I don't know if you guys thought the same, but I at least did when that trade happened earlier. Yeah. To me, the writing was on the wall. They were either going to do something of this magnitude, even though, only certain people predicted this trade. Very few people. No one could have saw this coming at all, except some people. But you knew they were going to do something like this, whether it was Larkin or Tkachuk. And this is the route they go down. From Ottawa's standpoint, the fact that they got 3 first-round picks for a guy that requested out, only wanted to be in 4 destinations, that's impressive work, because if they're trying to contend still, now you could flip those draft picks, which we're already seeing rumors. Maybe they'll flip those draft picks to get Jason Robertson. Maybe they'll offer sheet Jason Robertson if he's available on July 1st. So both teams, in my opinion, came out really good in this situation. And who would have thought, you could get first-round picks when someone requests out of an organization or, is getting traded with a no-trade clause. But nonetheless, I think both teams did great here.
Yeah.
And by the way, we got a couple more guys joining us right now. We got Matt from Ranger Central and Mr. Statboy Steven, who's coming on. Steven, let's start with you. What's your shock of the day with this, or just were you shocked as well?
I think the Bobby McMahon signing was more shocking than the Tkachuk trade, to be honest.
True.
Because if anyone knew that he was going to go to Florida, right? This was not some secret to anyone. Whether it was going to happen this year or next year or maybe at the end of his contract, but sooner or later he was going to end up on the Florida Panthers. I think Florida just wants to get as much out of their current core, and they don't want to wait. So giving up 3 first-round picks seems excessive, but they are the 9th overall pick is a decent pick they get, but the other 2 are going to be late picks. It's the 25th overall pick, I think, this year, and then their first-round pick in 2029,
and it's top 10 protected.
So I didn't even know if there was any condition attached to it, but yeah, I figured it was top 10 or top 5 protected. So they're getting a player that puts them over the top. How many top 6 forwards do you need on a team, right? And listen, the only way this impacts the Rangers is that now they have another team fighting with them for the bottom spot in the East, which is Ottawa. But yeah, good for Florida, man. If you're a Florida Panthers fan, this is exciting, because if you are a team that is either in win now mode or wants to bounce back from one bad year, which Toronto and Florida, you could make the case that they can do that, then this is a great move. So I think the bigger concern for me is all these American-born star players wanting out of their Canadian markets. Quinn Hughes leaving Vancouver a couple of years ago, Gaudreau signing with Columbus, Matthew Tkachuk wanting out of Calgary, now Brady Tkachuk wanting out of Ottawa. There's definitely a trend there. So,
well, and I got to go with the man that's been that was just pumping his fist, and it obviously was nothing that was going on with the Mets game right now. Matt, what are your thoughts on this?
It's the Florida Panthers, man. Well, what can I say? Winning organizations do winning things. And you know what? You got to give massive credit to Bill Zito right here, because bro built a team that won back-to-back Stanley Cups. They then missed the playoffs last year. Barkov goes down with a torn ACL in training camp. They lose Sonny Meta to New Jersey. Obviously, he got the promotion with getting that job as the GM of the Devils. And he basically put his balls on the table and told the rest of the league to go fuck themselves, because the Florida Panthers are back and they're here to stay. And listen, I'm telling you right now, at minimum, they're winning one more cup. with Brady and Matt together on that team. It's just the way that team is constructed right now. Like when you look at that top 9 from top to bottom with Verhaeghe, Barkov, Reinhart, both Tkachuks, Bennett, Luosterainen, Lundell, Brad Marchand. You even got Evan Rodriguez slotted on the 4th line. I mean, you talk about depth. That is from top to bottom. That team is just it's built differently. They're built to win now. They're built to play in the playoffs. And listen, that last year might have been a blessing in disguise because you know what? It gave those guys all a rest from going to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals. You get that massive Sergei Bobrovsky. Well, yeah. Well, they went to 3 straight Finals.
Oh,
and then they got the year off
from going to a 4th straight. My bad. I thought that's
no. Yeah. They coming off of 3 straight Finals. You get the rest. Obviously, missed the playoffs last year. All those guys get the rest up. You get rid of that disastrous Sergei Bobrovsky contract off the books, which allows you to go get a guy like Brady Tkachuk. And funny what happens when you don't have to deal with dumb money on your payroll and in terms of your books. It actually allows you to go and improve other areas of your team in front of the goaltender. And then, you could get like a decent to mid-range level goaltender. And basically, that could take you towards the promised land. But listen, like I said, Florida's here to stay. And anyone thought that that last year was going to be a or that basically last year was not a fluke or something, you're heavily mistaken because Florida's back and they're here to compete for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and Matt, like the Rangers were without Igor and Fox for 6 weeks, and look at where they ended up. Right, the Florida Panthers were without Barkov for a whole season and Tkachuk for like 90% of the season. Right. Those are 2 of their best players too. So the difference is that the Florida Panthers are a contender with those 2, and the Rangers still aren't. But what really stood out to me, because I just looked at Puckpedia, they still have $7 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they still need goalies because Tarasov and Bobrovsky are UFAs, but they have $7 million in cap space. They can still make moves. That's the scary
part. They might
part.
try to clear up some extra cap space.
They could flip Evan Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I mean,
but if you have $7 million in cap space, do you still want to flip Evan Rodriguez for cap relief?
Well, my thing, I don't think they would want to flip him for cap relief. My guess is that maybe like because I don't know what Detroit's ask would be for like a Sebastian Cossa, but if you could, flip Rodriguez and like a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick to get Sebastian Cossa, then that could be your goalie next season, or at least solves one hole in your goaltending tandem. And ultimately, my prediction is Bobrovsky's going to run back to them because there's no way anyone's giving him that 5 or 6 year deal that he's allegedly asking for.
No,
that'd be insanity, wouldn't it, Phil?
I would think, if anything, if he wants to come back, he knows that he's going to have to take a discount, and I don't think the term that he's looking for is what he's going to get. Like, I don't know how you can look at this guy last year, and even the year before, he didn't get Vezina votes the year before, and the year before in the finals, he single-handedly let Edmonton back in that series. Yeah, you could say McDavid went McDavid mode and channeled 93 or 85 or 87 Gretzky and scored 40 points. But the fact of the matter is that Sergei Bobrovsky was abysmal in games 4 through 6 and then finally found his mojo again in game 7. And that was part of why they were able to win. Also, McDavid just not having a good night in game 7. Florida locked him down. But the fact of the matter is that this guy is going to have to take a hometown discount to stay, or they're going to have to go in another direction. What I wonder is, can they somehow move salary and then swing a deal to get Connor Hellebuck? Because if they go and do that, don't even play the damn season. Give them the damn cup. That's it.
And Phil, it would perfectly fit in what I said earlier. American stars leaving their Canadian markets. It would just be another one.
This is what happens when you mix politics and continue to insert politics into sports, because some of you people out there, and I'm not saying all you hockey fans, but there are some people out there who just can't shut the hell up about politics and thinks that everything should revolve around them. You're great. You're going to push
Right.
their players out of your markets because of whatever political bullshit you've got going on, and you think that everybody should have to abide by your beliefs and think your way and agree with what you think. That's not how this world works. It's not. Get over yourself.
Right. And 100% on that, Phil. Let me just echo you with that before I make another point. And
Love this
next
stream
week
game,
or
by the way.
Friday
That's
at the
a great
draft,
Halloween
that the
draft.
Maple Leafs are going to have to look, or sorry, the San Jose Sharks, for instance, they're going to have to look at the piece of paper on their scouting report and go, wait, who did Chase Reed vote for last time around? Like, this is stupid. You pick the player. You don't worry about stuff like that, where they're from or anything else. Don't go with preconceived stereotypes or something. And as far and because we've been talking about this controversy, it's gone on for a while since they won the gold medal. It's like they were trying to force all of the Americans out of their cities up north. That's stupid, and that's ridiculous. And now the big question is Matthew going to stay?
So
But-
going to the White House is involving politics. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so what? So it's only a matter of time until they still apply it to Jason Robertson, whom Ottawa was trying to acquire. They're like, oh, well, he's still American, but let's avoid that. Here's a question, Matt. Let me direct it at you. Does Florida even need Connor Hellebuck? We could talk about Connor Hellebuck and go, hey, you know what? This is a superstar goaltender. But we've also established you don't need a superstar goaltender to win a Stanley Cup. Sergei Bobrovsky is 37 right now. He'll be 38 next season. So the likelihood of him leading the team to the Cup is going down by the minute and by the day, because goalies, when they get older, usually don't make cup runs. And the other question would be, you look at that defense that's in front of them with Gustav Forsling and Seth Jones, and I mean, that's a hell of a Nico Mikkola. It's a hell of a front four. Plus that forward group. Can we almost throw any veteran goalie in that? And I have to say veteran because, sorry, Evan, I just don't believe a rookie could do it.
Well, if it's a younger goalie, I can tell you this: that goalie is going to be set up for life playing behind this defense. Because if that goalie plays 2 seasons behind this Florida defense, he's going to get paid.
Oh, and Aaron Ekblad, I forgot to say him.
Yeah. The defense has Forsling, Ekblad, Mikkola, Jones. That's their top 4, and then Kulikov, Belinskins. Doesn't sound too sexy, but those are guys that got it done.
They're
Those
effective in a third pairing role. That's all that matters.
Exactly. They are a third pair, and they play like a third pair. Right now, their depth chart is ridiculous. They have Evan Rodriguez on their 4th line because their 3rd line is Marchand, Lundell, and Luostarinen. And they still have cap space to make moves. If I was Florida, I would target, you know who would actually be a really good fit for them right now, which is kind of funny, Spencer Knight, who they traded to Chicago for Seth Jones. That's kind of the perfect goalie for their situation right now.
You know what? I literally just want to put on ironic by Alanis Morissette because it literally is, because they draft Spencer Knight and then a week and change later they sign Sergei Bobrovsky. It's so like time is a flat circle.
Yeah.
It's great.
But hey, look, that trade got them Seth Jones, who has revitalized his own career in Florida. So, I think what it comes down to with the Florida Panthers is, and Matt touched on this, winning organizations do things that make them win. And the Florida Panthers under Bill Zito have created an environment where everyone buys in. I think that is the biggest thing in Florida. You need your players to buy in. Nico Mikkola playing on the 2nd pair in Florida, I don't think anyone expected that when he was on the Rangers after the deadline in 2023.
I'll stop you there real quick. Nico Mikkola actually looked like one of the best partners Adam Fox had before Vladislav Gavrikov came on. When he stepped into Ryan Lindgren's role, that pair was so much better with him on it than Ryan Lindgren.
Yeah. Like if I'm Bill Zito, I don't want to keep Bobrovsky. I would just move on from Bobrovsky and just go with a goalie who's like in his mid-20s.
Kosa, they were talking about Kosa before when I stepped away. That's a guy you go after, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would be available, but Like, I don't even know if they. I mean, they can trade first round picks in 2034 and 2035. So, if he is available, Jesper Wallstedt would fit that profile too, where you get.
Oh, he would be an even better fit, but I think that's going to cost more.
That is going to cost a lot, but is that where a guy like Rodriguez and a couple of picks comes in to, you not just Rodriguez, but it has to be like a first rounder plus.
Fair to bring that up, but if I'm looking at what we've been given in terms of the tidbits of information we've been given about some of the talks that have gone down recently, the Robert Thomas deal that was almost consummated between St. Louis and Minnesota. St. Louis turned down Urov and Wallstedt for Thomas. So if they wanted to deal him for Thomas, I think that tells you a bit about how Minnesota views Wallstedt in terms of his value.
So, but the thing with Minnesota, though, is they have Gustafsson signed for $6 million until, let me look this up here, 2031.
He would be an excellent fit for Florida. That's a proven starter that you can go after right there.
He has a full no move, but hey, that's never a problem with the Florida Panthers to wait.
Yeah, I don't think he. All right, you're going to tell me that Philip Gustafsson is going to turn down a deal to Florida when he makes what, $6 million? Yeah, $6.8 million against the cap. He would go from Minnesota, which is a high tax state, to a no tax state in Florida, where he would be playing 41 of his 82 or 42 of his 84 games in Florida, where he's going to save probably about $1 million a year in taxes. Yeah, I think Philip Gustafsson accepts that trade if it's offered.
Yeah. So, okay, maybe I was wrong about the Minnesota Wild goalie at first, but they have two starters under contract. So one of them, like, if you really want to go after a guy, like Sebastian Cossa is a good prospect, goalie prospect, but he hasn't really played in the NHL yet. Do you really want to take that risk?
I mean, if you're Florida, I would, because at the end of the day, look at the team that you have here. And like I said before, like, I truly think Bobrovsky's going to have to run back to Florida at some point, because no one's giving him that contract.
Bobrovsky could also go to Edmonton, so they finally have a goalie.
Well, I was going to say, how ironic would it be? Because Matt and I were just talking about this before. If Stuart Skinner ended up in Florida,
I was going to mention
that. How can they? All right. So you would Bill Zito, for all the good that he's done, and this guy seems to push all the right buttons. Why would he have his team play against Skinner twice, beat him, see how bad he is, and then go and acquire him?
No, Stuart Skinner does not feel like a Florida Panthers target to me.
No, Zito's too smart for that. Exactly, James. He is way too good to do that. You know what I think? I think that Minnesota connection fits in perfectly because one, they have, like you said, two goalies that they could give Florida. Two, they're gonna get assets back from that they could turn around and then flip to go address their center situation that way. It's two teams that need to fill needs.
By the way, I have a question for you, Phil. And you may have seen this already because I've tweeted about it. But of the last 8 Stanley Cups, how many have been won by a team that has a general manager that did not play in the NHL?
Wow, that's a good question.
So since the Washington Capitals under McPhee,
I don't think Bill Zito played in the NHL.
Bill Zito did not play in the NHL. That's 2 of the cups. That's 2.
Polsky, I don't think, played in the NHL.
That's 3.
Yeah.
So we would have to go back to 2023. McPhee, he did. I know that. He was a Ranger and a Canadian.
No, he was not the general manager in Vegas.
Kelly McCrimmon was, right?
Kelly McCrimmon.
But he played in the NHL.
No, he didn't.
Wait, Brad did. That's right. Brad
McCrimmon, but he died in the Lokomotiv Yaroslavl plane crash. That's a different McCrimmon.
Yeah.
So that's 4.
By the way, he was mentioned a lot in the Chris Pronger book.
22 was Cooper. Cooper didn't play in the NHL.
No, he was the head coach.
No, I'm sorry. Brisebois.
Brisebois did not. Julian Brisebois did not
not.
play in the NHL.
That's 5 and 6.
So, and then 20. Oh, no, that was Colorado anyway. And it was no, McFarland wasn't general manager in 2022.
No. Sakic. So over the last 8 years, Sakic is the only general manager to win the cup, having played in the NHL.
Yeah, I was about to say, because Sakic was still the GM. McFarland, I think, took over, the year after that?
He did.
So what you're telling me is that the Rangers need to hire Mark Messier now?
Oh, great.
No, they need to not hire Mark Messier. Stay away.
They need to hire Keith Gretzky. No, but it's Derek Armstrong in St. Louis, then Julien Brisebois twice. Then we skipped Sakic because he played in the NHL. Then it was McCrimmon, and then Zito twice, and now Tulsky. So 7 of the last 8 have been won by general managers who never played in the NHL.
Yeah, well, I think we lost Matt too. I don't know what happened there.
He's also doing that Met stream at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So a follow-up question is this an anomaly or is it a trend? Because I did the research. 15 of the 32 general managers currently employed in the NHL never played in the NHL.
I would say it's a trend, to be honest with you. I think they're going to start moneyballing a lot of this. And those type of GMs, they aren't guys that are in the league that can look over with the eye test.
Because 20 years ago, at the start of the salary cap era, I think only 3 general managers had never played in the NHL. So it seems like teams are valuing other aspects when hiring general managers now, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I think when people looked at Dubas and the analytics and everything like that in Florida, I mean, Sonny Meta obviously worked his way up through that organization and was a very much in-demand name when it came to the general manager search. Good for the Devils getting him. I mean, that was a nice pickup. I know Evan had been talking about him for quite some time. Evan wanted him as Ranger general manager. But, you're starting to see more of these younger minds come up. I get what you're getting at, and I do agree with that. So I do think there is going to be more of a focus. I hope it doesn't get too moneyballish where we're looking specifically just at the analytics and we're discarding the eye test, because I do think there is an element that needs to be in there. It's like in baseball. Like a lot of that is just it's almost robotic to this point. That's why I hated the Yankees firing Joe Girardi, because he was one of the last guys that didn't just go by that binder. He managed on field. I think we're sort of heading that way in the NHL, and I'm not sure if I like that.
Yeah.
Just
but
to say
also,
that. All right, go ahead, Steve.
Also, Phil, a good general manager surrounds himself with people that make up for their I don't want to say incompetencies, but their weaknesses. Right? If you look at Florida, the general manager is, of course, Bill Zito, and then he has Brett Peterson, Sonny Meta, and Gregory Campbell. So it is a good mix of an analytics guy, a former player, and then him being like the general manager who oversees it all. I think that is the way to go. And I'm not saying that getting a non-NHLer as a general manager is a guarantee for success. Brett for a living is horrible. But my point is more that having played in the NHL should not be a prerequisite to get the job. That's the point that's the point I always make.
And that's one I agree with. That look, it shouldn't just be, well, I played in the league. Well, were you any good? Or it's like in the case of, say, guys that were successful, like Chris Drury, just because you're a successful player doesn't mean you're a successful GM. There are different things that you need to do.
If the talent on the ice translated to talent behind the bench, the Coyotes would have won 4 Stanley Cups with Wayne Gretzky as coach.
Yeah. And again, we could talk about that. There's always a different approach. That you got the analytics approach. Now you got this. They've been throwing around this phrase because of Chaika, when he got hired around that time. They've been throwing around, oh, we could do Moneyball in the NHL. And now that they're saying that's what Carolina did, which I don't fully buy it. They did spread the wealth pretty good. But, I mean, there still has a lot to do with scouting. There's a lot to do with development, all the things that they don't do in Madison Square Garden. Right, Evan?
Yeah, definitely, to say the least. I mean, if you want me to go into my tangent about, this connected with the Rangers, I can, because I tweeted out a couple of my Ranger connected thoughts. One of them was, thank God Brady Tkachuk and Dylan Larkin do not want to be here, because it stopped Drury from doing something very stupid, because the Rangers equivalent would have been pick 5, 26, and then another future first rounder and a second round pick. Could you imagine they did that with the state that this team is in, thinking that would get them back into contention? But my other thought was, I wish this team could just admit that they need to rebuild, because if Brady Tkachuk is fetching this and requested a trade, imagine what Adam Fox would get in return when he still has a lot of term. And I know he has a no trade clause, so he could still dictate where he wants to go, but it's not like he's requesting out, so you theoretically don't have to move him, and you could truly maximize a big return in a trade for Adam Fox. It just sucks that, again, this general manager refuses to acknowledge where this team is headed. And it's even more, I shouldn't say it's stunning because of how this general manager operates, but I just don't know how it's not a wake-up call to both the general manager and ownership that you see all these star players wanting out of their organizations, and you're supposed to be the marquee team of America because you're New York City, you're Manhattan, and breaking news, that's not enough to sell players to come here when the organization is as much of a shit show as it is. I just don't understand how much more of a wake-up call they need here, because it wasn't the downfall of that 24-25 season after they started 12-4-1. Last year apparently wasn't a wake-up call, with all the drama that has gone on the past 2 years nonetheless. And now star players don't want to come here. What is it going to take for them to look in the mirror?
Well, Evan, I think what it will take is a season where they don't have the excuses thrown at them that they can use, right? 24-25, the excuse was, oh, but Trouba, oh, but Kreider, oh, but the locker room is fractured. Last season, it was, oh, but the injuries to Fox and Igor. Like, they will cling to any excuse to not rebuild. It's like, well, we were just dealing with this, and it's going to be different next year. We promise. It's going to be different. It's not going to be different.
Well, I mean, somebody
Evan was literally on with me the night after the Rangers lost. The night the Rangers lost to the Panthers, and I said scorched earth. I said those words. I said scorched earth. It has to happen. It has to. Yeah. Is your plan hoping that Connor McDavid requests out of Edmonton? Is that what we're going to do?
And there's no way he's going to want to come here. Like, that's the thing.
Evan, that's another good point. And it's a point that I've made on Twitter multiple times. There are Ranger fans who believe that every player wants to come to New York. That no matter who it is, no matter who it is.
Gee, I wonder who told you that not everyone wants to play for the Rangers, and who you had to tell that not everybody wants to come here.
Blue teamers.
Not everybody wants. Like, yes, the Rangers are a popular destination for certain players, not for every player. And I'd have to look it up, but from memory, I remember this coming up with Patrick Marleau, Zdeno Chara, Claude Giroux. Now there's Brady Tkachuk, who didn't want to waive for the Rangers, because clearly the Rangers weren't one of the 4 teams. Dylan Larkin didn't want to waive to come to the Rangers. Look, I'm not saying that nobody wants to come to the Rangers, but there's a big difference between that and saying that, oh, the Rangers are the number one destination. It's just not the case, especially now.
And there's no way you're going to sell Connor McDavid on this, who just took a discount to stay in Edmonton, and they make the playoffs every year, how are you convincing him to come to this shit show? Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to get to, and this is something fans are going to have to realize, that this team isn't even the number one trade destination for New York teams right now. They're number 3. Everybody's going to want to play with Matthew Schaefer. Oh, holy cow, Buffalo is good. They're number 2, arguably number 1.
If you want to expand the tri-state area.
I mean, yeah, they don't want to go to the Devils, but keep in mind that could change all next year.
Oh, I actually want to touch on Gavrikov, if you don't mind. I see the question.
Yeah, that's why I brought that up. I just
You probably have the same thoughts I do.
Okay. I saw the rumor that Gavrikov might go back to the LA Kings. Here's my observation. How bad does it have to be that a player that you signed 12 months ago wants to go back to the team he refused to sign an extension with?
Thank you. And I said this to go along with that point. It's even like it's unheard of that you sign a player to a discount of a deal, because everyone said it at the time. Gavrikov took a discount to come here, and then not even 12 months later, he wants to go back to the organization that he didn't sign an extension with.
Yeah.
Is there like, I can't think of off the
go
top of
play
my
this
head
now?
this happening.
Well, again, the Rangers and Pizza Boy need to part ways. And you need to find somebody that's going to run this organization well. First off, like, I'm not saying you need to be loyal. Like, we're talking about Florida and Vegas. There are guys that have been traded away by these organizations. They still don't talk any garbage about them. But yet the Rangers, Jacob Trouba couldn't say enough when he's going out the door. Granted, that's Jacob Trouba.
He's a bitter ex-girlfriend. I don't even care about what he has to say. That guy's one of the biggest ass clowns I've ever come across.
Okay.
What he says has no bearing on this organization being in the shit show state that it is in, because he was a big part of the problem.
Well, you could always be a guy who was brought up through this organization, had his growing pains, had his big moments, scores in the last Stanley Cup final game that this team played in 2015. Go on. 2014. I'm sorry. They should have made it in 2015. That's a different story. Anyway, have the big moments, be the 3rd highest goal scorer of all time, get traded away because he was getting long in the tooth. But when he comes back to have his reunion, they cut to commercial rather than show his reunion. This is this organization. It's a net from top to bottom. And for all the people that want to say, well, the Knicks got a lot of guys from Villanova. Yeah, we know. Their jury's trying to get everybody that's ever said the word Boston. So
here's the problem with making that comparison. The problem with making that comparison is that all those guys checked their egos at the door and wanted to win. They brought in Karl Anthony Towns after dealing one of those pieces away in Dante DiVincenzo. And what did Karl Anthony Towns do? He checked his damn ego at the door and did everything that he had to do in order to win. The problem here is that the leadership was a joke, and the guy that was supposed to be having everybody do that was a big little piss baby bitch. He was a baby back bitch who couldn't shut his damn mouth, and now fucking talks about this organization the way a bitter ex-girlfriend won't shut up about the dude that cheated on her, but she says she's over him. That's what this is.
Yeah.
But Phil, all this drama over the last 24 months also adds to the reasons why players don't want to come here.
Well, yes, it's not just that, but it's a rebuilding team. Even if this drama was there and the whole Trouba thing, and even if Trouba was right about everything, this team was a winning team, and they were getting to the Final Four like every year, and they had great talent. Players are still going to want to come here. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Right now, they're the 3rd most, I guarantee, out of all the trade requests, they're 3rd in the New York teams.
Yeah.
And possibly 4th if you include New Jersey. That's where they are right now. They don't have a good culture.
And meanwhile, we're seeing them connected to names like Matthew Nyes. Like, come on. Like, these are like, and Matthew Nyes is a nice player, but what are we doing here? That this is what it is. And I said it even about Nyes. Like, it's nothing against him as a player. It's really the idea where how much redundancy are they planning to have in this lineup going forward? Because you bring in Nyes, you have Will Cooley, who in my opinion is a Matthew Nyes light. Liam Greentree as a prospect is kind of that same kind of player. Are you just going to have a lineup full of the same players?
Don't forget Malcolm Spence.
Malcolm
Yeah.
Spence is like
You know,
that.
The New York power forward.
Evan, you were kind of describing the forward core the Seattle Kraken have had for like 5 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Except Seattle has even less of an identity than the Rangers do somehow. I don't understand it, but that they do.
Yeah. Look,
Steven, you made that comment that you always made that comment about the Minnesota Wild being the side salad of the NHL. I think the Seattle Kraken
have taken over.
Who knows what's going on there?
Like it's fucking far away. It's like look, the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. I'm thrilled, but like Seattle is so far away that unless something major happens, unless the Seattle Kraken make it to the Western Conference Final, no one's going to even notice them.
Yeah.
And it really is a shame because it's a really good organization. Their arena is fantastic. You know, they have open practices for their fans at their facility, right? I know Ranger fans listening to this are like, is that allowed? Yes. Yeah. 31 teams do this. 31 teams allow fans at their practice facility. 31 teams. It's a wonderful organization, and they just haven't had success. The only playoff series win for them was eliminating the reigning Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche in 2023. That's it. But
to go with that last comment you pulled up, that's pretty much what it feels like this team's doing right now.
Well, that's why I said that I think they have even less of an identity than the Rangers do. At least the Rangers are starting to go in a direction where they're bringing in young talent into their lineup. Your Gabe Perreaults, your Will Cooley's. Maybe Liam Greentree plays either sometime this year or the next. I don't know what they're doing with Brett Berard. It's stupid, but.
And yeah. I can't back the whole, just to get to the initial point, like I can't back this whole Matthew Nyes thing, considering the return that he's potentially going for. No, like the numbers show too that Nyes is far and away a worse player without Austin Matthews or William Nylander with him.
Matthew Nyes, and I'll say this, it's the same thing with Brady Tkachuk. He is Brady Tkachuk light. He is a player you bring in as a number 3 or 4 option. Brady Tkachuk could be a 2 or a 3. Nyes is a 3 or a 4 on a real cup threat of a team.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't bring him in to help rebuild your offense. You bring him in as one of the final piece type players to help put you over the top. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is.
100%. That's why if Montreal made the move like they were going to potentially at the deadline, that makes sense.
100%. 100% agree.
John, forget John Radigan's comment if you want to pull it up. Forget about speaking on camera. He doesn't even go in the same room as the media. All of his meetings are through Zoom.
Evan, it's even worse than that. He has private Zoom calls with the beat writers that they're not allowed to record.
Yeah.
That's not transparency, and that's
that's the problem. Like I just think, I'm not going to beat the dead horse thing with Drury because I think everybody knows my thoughts about this guy. But everybody should know Evan's thoughts about it. Evan has broadcasted so much Drury hate over the last few years, but this is why fresh perspective is needed. And honestly, I wish they could go and get someone like Rich Peverley right now. This would be the perfect time to do it, but Dolan has doubled down. And the fact that I guess because he was Sather and Gorton's chosen golden boy, it's given him a longer leash than he's needed.
The thing that's also bizarre to me is why is it the team was in a way better state or you could argue at least, the team was in a better state when they decided to send out the letter the first time to rebuild than it is right now. And you were able to get Dolan the cosign to a rebuild then versus now. I guess because the last one failed when they didn't even do it right, because that wasn't even a rebuild at all. But now Dolan, I guess, thinks that because that rebuild didn't work, it's not going to work again. But like that's the only argument I could have to play devil's advocate with myself there.
We need to come up with some kind of hashtag to get Drury away from this Rangers team, like decolonize MSG or something. Like we need to come up with something.
Fire Drury. It's easy enough.
Or just fire Drury. But like the problem, like it's not even that Drury is a bad guy. He's just not qualified for the job. I'm sorry. And everyone always points to like the good trades he made. And the one caveat I always hear is like, oh, if you ignore the first 3 months of his tenure, yeah, okay. If you ignore every bad decision I made in life, I'd be a millionaire.
Why would we ignore the first 3 months of his tenure? That's
even if we ignored it, it's still
also one of the moves in the first 3 months of his tenure is still affecting this draft for the Rangers.
I was going to say
5 years later, because one of the second rounders they had to give up to get rid of Nemeth was a 2026 second rounder.
I was going to say that, and it also, one of the moves he made in the first 3 months of his tenure affected their entire contention window because they spent the entire time searching for his replacement, and they couldn't do it successfully.
And that's we don't have a second rounder next year either. Anyone know where that went?
Andrew Coptree?
Patrick Kane?
No.
Oh, was that Tarasenko?
Or is that Nemeth also?
No. The 2027 second round pick we gave up for Riley Smith.
Oh, lovely.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
I forgot about that
Holy
bullshit.
crap. Oh.
But Evan, also, I'm going to bring right back to the point you made a while ago, and I didn't go with you on this, and that's you're going to remember Drury for the trade he didn't make, and that was he could have gotten Jake Gensel, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Would have put the Rangers over the top. They would have probably mowed right through the East. Instead.
That was my other Rangers thought with this trade. Sorry to cut you off, but it's like my thought was you have the Florida Panthers who just missed the playoffs after going to 3 straight finals, giving up 3 first-round picks to get Brady Tkachuk, but the Rangers didn't want in a President's Trophy year to give up assets to go get Jake Gensel. That's the difference.
I knew you were going there. Oh, I knew that was coming. I mean, and you have every right to be all over that. You have every right to be all over it.
Hey guys, I'm going to cut out right now. You guys can finish this up on without me.
Yeah, well, we could go for a little bit longer, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'll hang out.
Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you guys later. I'll see you Tuesday for the draft for the mock draft coverage.
Yep. See you, Mark.
So yeah, well, like Mark said, we're going to be doing draft coverage Tuesday afternoon. We will do a mock draft. Evan, you're in on that. I think Matt said he was in on that too. I mean, this is another thing though too. If you want to talk about moves and not making the right moves, all you had to do was trade Filip Chytil, Vitaly Kravtsov, Braden Schneider, the first round pick, and or Nils Lundkvist, I think. And you
I think it was Nils Lundkvist. Yeah.
And you could have had Jack Eichel, and Jack Eichel would have been your franchise center. Like that would have been your number one center.
The only thing with that is, Phil, with Eichel, I think there were definitely talks about how the Buffalo Sabres didn't want to trade him to a team in the East.
No, well, but that was what Buffalo wanted, though.
Mm-hmm.
That was reported by several different sources. Yeah. That was what Buffalo wanted. So, and Drury said no to that. So, like,
and I was gonna say, even then, you get to a point where you make Buffalo say yes to a trade with a team in the East. You get to that point where you make it that they have to have that uncomfortable conversation within of, do we just deal them in the conference? But they didn't want to do it because they thought Mika Zibanejad was a better hockey player.
Yeah. Gavin just brought that up right there. Like, just unbelievable that. And listen, Zibanejad had a fine season this year. Like, I gotta tip my hat to him for, having a nice bounce back year and trying to be a mentor for guys like Burrow and Lafreniere. Line was one of the more fun lines I think I've watched in recent years. But, like, in what world all right, hold on. Let me rephrase this. How are you an NHL general manager when you think that Mika Zibanejad is a better hockey player than Jack fucking Eichel?
I'll tell you how they got fooled by that season right before the COVID pause. They got fooled thinking that's the player that he is, despite him having a unsustainable shooting percentage down that stretch. And it was clearly not going to translate into future seasons. That's the player they thought Mika was going forward. And it was a total miscalculation. And if anything, again, like, my thing is, why didn't you want to just try to have both? You could have had both. When you moved Buchnevich, you opened up cap.
I'm not even saying that Mika Zibanejad is a bad guy or a bad player or anything like that. It's just that you cannot objectively look at these two players, him and Eichel, and say that Zibanejad is a better player than Eichel. Eichel already had an 80-point season where he was on pace for 90-plus points at that time. No. Even if you think that Zibanejad's 40-goal, like, led the NHL in, like, goals per game type season was a, that was sustainable even to a point. Jack Eichel had already proven to you that in Buffalo, he was the man. He was the man. He was doing things in Buffalo, and that Buffalo team was bad before Tage Thompson even came out of nowhere. So you got to remember, like, that's a star-level player with the pedigree. He would have went number one in just about any other draft other than the one that he was in because Connor McDavid was one.
He would have been number one. Any other draft, yeah.
Any other draft.
Does anyone remember the shooting percentage of Zibanejad that season where he scored 41 goals?
I know it was over 20%. It was, I want to say like 23,
no,
24%.
I think it was under 20. Zibanejad's shooting percentage that year, I believe it was like 18-something%.
It was 19.7. Like, down the stretch, the last month or so, it was like 26%. It was ridiculous. But
that 5-goal game really boosted that up.
Yeah, but 19.7%, right? The highest shooting percentage Alex Ovechkin has had in a single season. The best goal scorer in NHL history is 18.6.
Well, there you go.
What, Ovechkin's highest?
Ovechkin's highest single season shooting percentage is 18.6, and he's considered
that was last year, not this past season.
It was 24-25.
Yeah, when he broke the record. Yeah, and his highest before that was 15.4, I believe, in 2014 or 2015.
2019-20, the same season as Zibanejad, actually.
Was the 15.4?
15.4, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, I had the years confused then. I knew it was 15.4 because I looked it up because a lot of people were having the same argument about Kreider. Oh, well, Kreider had a 52-goal season. That it was just such a net front presence that's sustainable. No, Kreider was shooting at over 20% that year.
Also, now that you touch on Kreider, it is an embarrassment that we got nothing of value in return for Chris Kreider.
No, because that's another mistake from Drury, and all of us said it after that Florida series. They should have moved Kreider there.
Because here's the thing: great general managers move players at the right time. I rather move a player a year too soon than a year too late.
Yep.
Bill Zito in 2022 made the decision to move on from a 115-point player in Jonathan Huberdeau.
And everybody looked at him like he had 6 heads. Not only that, got to remember, wasn't just Huberdeau. He said Mackenzie
Weegar, yeah.
To get Matthew Tkachuk, and everybody was like, huh? You did this to get Matthew Tkachuk?
Yeah.
And what happens? Matthew Tkachuk proves that his 100-point season in Calgary wasn't a fluke, changes the entire culture in Florida, Everybody buys into what Paul Maurice is selling, and they go on a run of runs.
Oh, Paul Maurice, the retread of retreads. When people talk about retread coaches, Paul Maurice was considered a retread. You are considered a failure until you win a cup. That's
Paul
the
Maurice
NHL.
has been coaching for over 30 years in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If he's not a retread, who the hell is?
Exactly. Alex Ovechkin was called a loser for over a decade because he didn't win a cup, and then he won one. By the way, the only year they made it past the second round in the Ovechkin era.
That was not
The
09.
The year they won the cup was the only
The
year.
year
Is
they
what he's
won the
saying.
cup was the only year they
Yeah.
made it past the second round.
Because
Phil.
they ran into Pittsburgh, I think, 2 years in a row before that and got knocked out by them.
Oh, they ran into Pittsburgh and into the Rangers for so many years.
Yeah, the Rangers in 2015, the Rangers in 2013, the Rangers in 2012.
2012. Yeah. And then I think it was Boston in 2011.
Did they lose to Boston in 20? No, Boston beat Tampa and Buffalo?
I mean, the Trouba thing's different though, Sens fan. Like they were
Yeah,
never gonna
that's
get anything for Trouba. That one's
Yeah,
different.
okay,
The
so-
Kreider
okay,
thing was
so-
the one that they
The,
fucked up.
the difference with Trouba is, well, first of all, Drury should have terminated his contract the moment he refused to go to teams that were not on his no trade list, right? You
Yep.
file agreement
Yeah.
with the league, you terminate the contract, and you get rid of him on July 1st. And the reason I say get rid of him on July 1st is because it would have prevented all the shit show that happened at the start of the season. When Tampa moved on from Ryan McDonough, they moved on in July. They told Ryan McDonough, you can either waive to go to Columbus, where John Tortorella is the coach,
Or you can accept the trade to Nashville.
or accept a trade to Nashville. The players didn't like it, but the players were informed about it in July. So they had 2 months to, I don't know, mourn the loss of a teammate, so to speak, to deal with it, right? The Rangers had to go through Jacob Trouba getting moved in November, and that completely imploded the whole season.
Well, it's not just that, but he came back, and he came back knowingly and sulked about it. And that's the biggest thing. And he ruined that locker room by doing so. The guy that was supposed to be the guy to help shape the locker room threw a little fit, took his ball, and went home because he didn't like the fact that the team wanted to move on to him after he did not live up to his contract.
Okay,
And
so
you
there
got
are
entire locker room. Just
there
remember
are
that.
3 points, and then I'll touch on why Trouba was worth nothing. There are 3 points in that offseason where Drury made a mistake. The first one was July 1st. He should have just waived him.
Yep.
Right? You waive him. If a team picks him up and he doesn't go, then the team could file a grievance, terminate his contract, done.
Yep.
When he didn't waive him, he should have filed a grievance with the league because Jacob Trouba, Larry Brooks wrote this, Jacob Trouba informed teams not on his no-trade list that he would refuse to report if he was traded to them.
Yeah, his
So
camp leaked that.
He's literally sabotaging trades. You can terminate a contract for that. That was the second point where Drury could have saved it. And the third point, if you're really going to insist on keeping Jacob Trouba on the team to start the season, you cannot have him be the captain after what happened.
No,
After what
and
happened that summer, he cannot be the captain on opening night in 2024.
Nope. And I'm pretty sure we all said it at the time too. I know at least I did that. I was like, everyone's undervaluing how much this is going to affect the start of the season. And Drury just let this thing torpedo for no reason, getting pushed around by this guy. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. All he had to do was, like you said, file for grievance. But was it worth torpedoing that entire season, that entire locker room, just to get Urho Vakanainen and a 4th-round pick? I hope that was worth it.
Well, it's not. No, but it's not about getting Urho Vakanainen and a 4th-round pick. It was about getting rid of an albatross contract to a player.
Well, that's my
that was
point.
Unhappy and wanted out.
But my thing is, my thing is, why not file for grievance then if you thought that you could get, if you didn't think you get some sort of return?
Listen, I agree with you there. He should have, you and Steven, he should have filed a grievance, and that should have been it. Like that. Like, and when he did that, what he did was beyond illegal.
Yeah.
Beyond illegal. He absolutely nuked an entire offseason and a locker room in one fell swoop. Like, the fact that people still defend this guy.
Yeah, because the other thing is, Phil, if they move on from Trouba on July 1st, what moves can they make in free agency with the cap space?
Who banned that dude?
I did.
Oh, okay, all right.
He was like putting fake rumors in the chat. So
I think he was just making predictions.
Oh, and the reason why the Trouba situation is different from the Kreider situation is Kreider came off multiple 30-goal seasons, right? He had a 52-goal season, and then he had, I think, a 39 and 33-goal season. Kreider, when they moved on from him, had value. That's why I'm upset that they didn't get anything of value for Chris Kreider.
That, and my other thing is, like, again, this goes back to the Gensel thing, where it's like, you could have got Jake Gensel, extended him, and then moved Kreider, and you have your Kreider replacement right there with Gensel, who's better, and you're going to get more years out of him while selling Kreider at arguably his highest value. I mean, I would argue the 50-goal seasons when it was higher, but like at his second highest value, which was still a very good return that you could have got there.
The 23-24 season, he had 39 goals, 36 assists for 75 points.
I just don't think they would have moved on from Kreider while trying to contend, especially if he's one of your better playoff scorers. So I understand where you're coming from.
But this is the point we're trying to make, Phil. A good general manager moves on from Kreider in 2024.
All right. I agree with you. I agree with the general point, but I don't think that's the player you should be applying that to, especially when he's the best playoff scorer the team has, sadly.
Yes, but you have to remember the context at the time that Mika Zibanejad was never going anywhere because of his no-move clause.
I understand.
Trouba was obviously not going anywhere. You weren't moving that contract.
Well, no,
you weren't going to
move.
Would have
had he not subterfuged it. That's where I will absolutely agree with you. They should have cracked down on him and threw the fucking book at him.
Well, I mean, you could have argued that they should have done both to retool there. But again, Kreider should have got moved.
I wanted
while his value is high. The only other player you could have argued that they could have moved or tried at the time was Panarin, but he still had a full no trade at the time.
Again, they weren't going to, and one, no trade, and two, if the idea is to keep these guys, and again, I'm operating under the pretense that we're trying to compete and we're not like going scorched earth like I wanted to do right after that loss, but we're going and trying to compete. I don't think you're going to get rid of those guys when you're trying to compete unless you can replace them with guys that are as good or better. So you're not going to do that. You're not going to get rid, even though I've said what I've said about Panarin and his lack of playoff production and the fact that the guy's a ghost after round one in the playoffs. But Chris Kreider has been their best playoff scorer for the last close to 15 years. So they were not going to get rid of him if they were trying to compete. So getting rid of Trouba and not having him screw up that entire offseason in the locker room and doing what they would have done, like that would have helped everything. Like the whole Goodrow thing, the fact that locker room went into a tailspin over what happened with Barclay friggin' Goodrow just goes to show you the lack of character that is in that, or that was in that locker room. Well, and that's why everything that happened needed to happen. I hate the fact that this team sucks right now and that we have to go through this, and that he brought in JT Miller to try to, I was wrong about JT Miller. I'll eat my crow there. Boy, is he fucking shit the bed in that regard.
A guy who was an issue in 3 different locker rooms is not the answer.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, I was operating under the pretense that he had changed, and again, the last issue he had was with a guy that's turned out to be the issue there in Vancouver. So you can't say it was 3, 2, because Pettersson's the issue. We now know Pettersson's the issue.
I mean, Patterson being the issue does not mean JT Miller was not an issue.
But JT Miller would still be there if it wasn't for Pettersson's contract. I can tell you that right now. And we can deduce that from the fact that they are having trouble trying to deal this guy and all the shit that has happened since JT Miller's left. Go watch Overdrive. Go watch Daily Face-Off. Go watch anything. The way they talk about Pettersson, Donnie and Dolly. And they're Donnie and Dolly more connected than anyone when it comes to Vancouver. Pettersson's the issue. He was the issue. Take it from them.
With the original point of when we were just to go back quickly for the after the Florida series thing, I think where we didn't have clarity just now is my thing after that Florida series. I didn't want them to go full scorched to earth in terms of rebuilding. I wanted them to retool, and I wanted them to make hockey trades with guys like Kreider, with guys like Panarin. Obviously, I wanted them to dump Trouba for whatever, and I wanted them to do hockey trades to get rid of those guys and try to work around that way to develop a little bit of a new identity and a new group. Because at that point, that's not when I was ready to go full scorched to earth. I was ready that next season by November. That's when I wanted them to go scorched earth. But after the Florida series, I wanted them to retool.
Makes no difference. Really doesn't make any difference. Even though I knew scorched earth was never a real possibility, you wait till November. They should have just done it right away. I know it couldn't have happened, but you weren't going to win with that court. The organization identified it. It wasn't working. They started dealing away pieces right away. Just tear it down to the studs.
But my point is, if their opportunity, their one small window to actually go the retool route was after that Florida series when guys actually had value. That to me was the difference.
Okay, all right. So what moves are we making then at that point that would constitute something like that?
Well, I mean, you could have you had a chance to right the wrong with the Gensel thing if you really want to. You could have moved Kreider out and got Gensel that offseason. I don't remember who else got moved that offseason, but
I don't know.
Wanted to see them make
retool move though.
How is that not a retool move?
That's a move to keep your window alive.
Yeah, but you're also mixing up the nucleus of the team because Kreider's one of the leaders on your team, and you're bringing in a different look with a guy like Gensel. You move out.
You still have a limited window with that though, because you're not a retool would be bringing in a younger like mid-20s established player that you can maybe compete with now, but is much more of a long-term solution than Gensel, because Gensel was what, 29?
Gensel's 3 years younger than Kreider.
Yeah, you're not losing that much age by going from Kreider to Gensel. That was really the point I was getting at.
Well, yeah,
I could still see that being considered a retool move, because you're basically rejuvenating a position, even if it's only by 3 years, right? It's not the same as replacing a 32-year-old with a 24-year-old. I get it, but replacing Kreider with Gensel, I mean, it's not a rebuild, right? I don't know.
That's not really like a hockey trade, okay? Like
it's a
what
hockey
would have
trade.
been available though that would have constituted a hockey trade that could have really worked in that regard.
I'm trying to remember names that I said at the time.
I know it's hard. I'm putting you on the spot, so I can't expect a whole lot in that regard. I get it. But I don't remember seeing something that really could have fit that.
No.
That I could have said, hey, you know what? Hockey trade. Like, we can still sort of compete now, and it's also a good move for the future. Like, I just think that I think if you're bringing in Gensel, you don't get rid of the more established guys. Like, that's a move that you make if you're trying to go and continue to win it all. Like, that's a press forward type move, if you ask me.
Yes and no, because again, like you're clearly upgrading the position there with a guy who is at, because I think Gensel, even at the time, I thought Gensel was a different tier of player than Chris Kreider.
Well,
I mean, you're not wrong. No, you're not.
I think the biggest difference there is that Gensel is a 5-on-5 player, and Kreider is more a power play merchant.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Kreider used to be a very good 5-on-5 player years ago, but that's a different Kreider. I don't know. When I look at that, I think that's the type of move that you make if you're trying to compete, like, and really trying to compete, like, right now. To me, that's a right now move. It's not Nedved and Zubov for Robitaille and Samuelson, but it's definitely a right now.
So the question I have, and then I'll leave you guys, but how long before the Rangers are back in the conference final?
I don't even want to know.
Because I don't consider us a contender on
and then why don't you just go get the sombrero picture for that question?
Because it is
Sonyan.
It's not looking good.
It's not.
No. Not at all.
This front office thinks they are 2-3 moves away from fixing everything. But the reality is that Zibanejad is probably not going to have a season like he had now. JT Miller has to prove that he's not on the decline and that this season was an anomaly. Everyone's getting older. And aside from Perreault, help's not on the way. There's no one in the system to pick up the slack. You know, Lafreniere.
Hey, on Friday they'll have the opportunity to pick someone that they'll ruin.
Yeah, but they'll probably go for a defenseman who takes 5 years to get to the NHL.
Yeah, they'll go for a Keaton Vierhoff. Well, it's more exciting than that.
Yeah. But the problem the Rangers have is that everyone's getting older. And aside from Perreault, there's no one in the organization. I know Ranger fans love the idea of Liam Greentree, but right now he's just Brennan Othman to me. He's a guy that scored in the OHL. Great. Hasn't done anything at pro level yet. Unless he does, I'm not going to expect anything from him. He might need 2 full years in the AHL first.
I mean, all right. I can't prognosticate too much about Liam Greentree. I mean, there's good pedigree with a recent first rounder, and I think there's definitely some skill there. But there is nobody outside of Gabe that really pops off at me.
Nope.
Like right now.
No.
Like they have nobody in that system that really pops off at me. And
nope.
that's the thing that disappoints me and scares me the most all at the same time.
And look, like EJ Emery,
better year this year at North Dakota than last year. But
this is the thing that's
bars in hell there, boys. Bars in hell.
This is the thing that's sad though, is that they burned all this liquidity and now we're left with such a barren farm system only to have a 3-year contention window.
But thank you for saying that, because that's why I continue to believe that scorched earth was right away, right after they lost. That was like you, Steven, you brought up the point about general managers trade their players a year too soon, know when to trade them a year too soon or whatnot, yada, yada.
Yeah.
That's when you pull the plug on that core. And he tried to, but I mean, Mark was right. He would go to order a pizza and come back with sushi.
Yeah. Like I saw someone make the case that they should have retooled in 2022 after the Cinderella run that ended against Tampa, and then gone full on, like just give the keys to Lafreniere, Kakko, and Hedl. I think that's a bit much.
Well,
but after 2024, there was no reason not to retool.
No reason anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
You got the most out of that group of players.
They missed their opportunity with.
Sorry, Evan. And can we stop with the no move clauses when we sign players, please?
That'd be lovely.
Can we?
I wish they would ban those.
You know what? The NHL has a limit to the number of retention spots you can have. There should be a limit of 3 for no move clauses.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I was gonna say. I agree there. Because it's ridiculous that fourth line players are getting these.
If you trade for a guy
Vancouver is not trading Z William, they just got him for Quinn Hughes. Do you know how bad of a look that would be if they traded Z William away for a 5th overall pick after dealing Quinn Hughes to get him? It would be a disaster for Vancouver.
Yeah, no, it would be terrible. What was I saying?
You were talking about the no move clause.
Yeah,
yeah.
The three spots.
If a player gets traded to a team, it shouldn't count towards the limit of 3, but you should not be allowed to hand out more than 3 no move clauses.
I agree with that. I've seen that idea floated, but my biggest problem with it is that it allows players to basically go pull the Wade Redden and fuck off to a team, basically, and just not show up and care.
Okay.
What has Trevor Zegras done? You're trying to use this as some sort of flex. What has Trevor Zegras done? Please. Gonna say shit like that, at least have something like worthwhile to come back with.
The thing I was gonna say before, though, with the Lafreniere thing, that's what they should have done when they moved Buchnevich, and that's what I thought they were gonna do. After they didn't get Eichel and after they moved Buchnevich, I was like, okay, Lafreniere and Kakko, you give them the keys to the top 6 spot. Nah, Barclay Goodrow, Dryden Hunt.
Oh, Ryan Reeves, Sammy Blake, Johnny Brodzinski.
I'm pretty sure we had that list. It's like 30-something different wingers.
Since Zuccarello was traded away, you know what? I'm going to look it up. I had this list. Hold on. I'm going to look this up.
I have it saved somewhere, too. The Kreider and Zibanejad one, right?
Yeah, the players that have played with Kreider, Zibanejad. See if I can find it here. Hold on.
I know I have the list somewhere if you can't find it.
It was a long list. I do remember that. It was like 25 players. I think Brendan Lemieux was on that list too.
I have the list in front of me if you can't find it.
You have it? Please share. Yeah.
All right. Pavel Buchnevich, Vitaly Kravtsov, Ryan Strome, Colin Blackwell, Kevin Rooney, Jesper Foss, Dryden Hunt, Ryan Reeves, Sammy Blais, Frank Vetrano, Andrew Kopp, Tyler Mott, Patrick Kane, Barclay Goodrow, Vlad Tarasenko, Jimmy Vesey, Blake Wheeler, Phil Peedle, Kakko, Lafreniere, Brodzinski, Nemesnikov, Othman, Panarin, Gauthier, Wenberg, Rosovic, Smith, and Will Cooley.
That's a ridiculous list.
Yeah, but don't judge Chris Drury for his first 3 months. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Because it's not like one of those moves affected that entire list from existing.
Yeah. Man, you mentioned Julien Gauthier there. Holy shit. We've been through we've been through quite the spell there. Did you mention Roslovic and Wenberg?
Yes, I did.
You did, right? Yeah. Riley Smith, Brett Berard.
Riley Smith I mentioned.
Yeah.
You said Berard?
Berard.
I don't have him on that list, actually. Let me add him.
Okay. I tweeted this. I finally found the tweet when I looked for the word Wonder Twins. That's what I used to call Kreider Zibanejad. Yeah. This was just since Buchnevich left, man. This list is ridiculous. Man, it's been 5 years and we still don't have a Buchnevich replacement.
No. And
and Lafreniere, look, I know he had a great end to the season. He needs to show it to me for a full season before I start to get excited.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And I legit did not care because of the fact, too, that down the stretch his shooting percentage was was higher as well. Like I don't care until, like you said, show up for full season. Cool, then I could get on board. But we've done this every year where he'll have a hot stretch, and it's like, oh, this is it. It's the opportunity, and then it never happens.
Oh, Phil read something ridiculous. What is it?
No, there's literally somebody in a chat saying that Vancouver should trade Zeev Boyum for the 5th overall pick about what? Less than 6 months after they just traded Quinn Hughes, is probably the best player in their franchise's history, for Zeev Boyum.
Why
wants to trade a car for a mystery box? I'm sorry, but this is absurd. I'm absolutely absurd. And then brings up Trevor Zegras as if you're trying to clown on me with Trevor Zegras. What does that have to do with anything?
Phil, they have their mystery box already with the 3rd overall pick. Why would they?
Exactly. Why they can just go get whichever of Reed, Malhotra, or Stenberg, whoever the hell they want, add them to that, and then just go forward with their scorched earth rebuild. Why would they?
Also, and look, I don't know if this guy's from New York, but I've noticed a lot of Ranger fans being enamored with Trevor Zegras solely because he's from New York. And Phil, you remember this guy. I remember
maybe they want Stenberg or Malhotra. They don't. Maybe they don't want a second freaking Zeev Boyum. And if they wanted a second Zeev Boyum, why would they go and trade Zeev Boyum away to get that?
So
you're literally moving backwards when you have a 20-year-old that looks like he's the part.
Yeah. So you trade Zeev Boyum.
Thank you, SensFan90. Thank you, somebody who understands it.
Yeah. So you trade Zeev Boyum for a pick that you then use to draft someone you hope is as good as Zeev Boyum.
Thank you, Steven. Thank you.
That's
the only reason
people are understanding it. I know that I can be absolutely batshit crazy at times with certain things, but I'm glad to know I'm not crazy here. I really am.
Zegras
did not take Philadelphia to playoffs. Please stop. Like, stop with the revisionist history, dude. Like, I'm going to ban you if you're going to say shit like that.
Phil, the Rangers should trade Gabe Perreault for a 13th overall pick so they can try and draft a guy who might be as good as Gabe Perreault.
Yeah.
Legit, the only reason Vancouver would even entertain moving Boyum
them to the playoffs, dude. Please shut up.
The only reason they would move Boyum is if they were really that disappointed with what they saw in the small sample size with him, which I highly doubt that.
The only reason they move Zeev Boyum is if Zeev Boyum.
What was the difference? Porter Martone, guy. Porter Martone came up and literally dragged them into the playoffs when the Islanders decided to fuck their way out of the playoffs.
I was going to say a shit division also kind of helped them. Pittsburgh
made the playoffs with that team.
Mm-hmm.
Please. Stop.
Anyway, what I was saying, the only way Vancouver moves on from Zeev Boyum is if he refuses to sign an extension with them.
Or that, yeah.
And
that's when the Islanders shit the bed, dude. Yeah, you're done here. I'm done entertaining this shit. Evan, ban that guy. Please ban that guy, whoever that is. Like, just dumb. Like, you're going to be dumb. Okay, you're gone.
When I will entertain this for 5 seconds. When Porter Martone came up, the Philadelphia Flyers had a 7% chance of making the playoffs. Right? They then went 7-3 in the 10 games he played.
Yeah. And they made the playoffs because Porter Martone was scoring at over a point per game, while Trevor Zegras did what in his last 10 games?
Oh, I can look that up too. Let's see. So, by the way, Porter Martone, point per game in those 10 games.
Yeah, that's what I said. He was a point per game in those last 10 games.
In the last 10 games, not playoffs.
So you had 6 points, 2 goals.
2 goals and 6 points in his last 10 games.
Oh, wait, sorry. I was looking at the playoffs. I was looking at the playoffs. My bad on that.
Fucking tool. You know what? I don't mean that. I don't like talking bad about the viewers, stuff like that. Like you come in the chat, we're thankful for that. But if you're going to play revisionist history and then try to clown on me and bring up Trevor Zegras as your talking point, you're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. You're a fucking idiot. There's no other way around it.
Okay, so Phil, Zegras had I think 9 points in his last 10 games. Porter Martone was involved in 4 of those 9.
Okay, then there you go. It's Porter Martone. Porter Martone made the difference. Who did what in the playoffs? Trevor Zegras did not have a great playoff. Porter Martone was the man against Pittsburgh.
Also, didn't Dan Vladar have like a really insane stretch down towards the end of the season?
In the playoffs, Trevor Zegras 6 points, 3 of them Porter Martone was involved.
He had 4 points in the 6 games against Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
and he was held scoreless in 3 of those games.
Yeah, since Porter Martone joined the Flyers, he has contributed to half of Zegras' points, regular season and playoffs.
I don't know. I really. All right. So I'll end this. My whole point is, I don't understand how you are advocating trading Zeev Buium for a bag of magic beans and then using Trevor Zegras to try to clown on somebody. Like, yeah, I don't get the connection there.
Yeah, Phil, I said this before. There are Ranger fans who only like Zegras because he's from New York. And
no, this guy's not a Ranger fan. I think he's a Flyer fan.
Oh, well, but it kind of reminds me of the Jeremy Bracco discourse with Ranger fans. Do you remember Jeremy Bracco?
Yeah, I do, because his family owns a local bar on Long Island on the Nautical Mile. I know people who personally know him.
Yeah, there were Ranger fans who were clamoring for
not Jeremy talking about Bracco, you, Ben. Talking about the other dude that got banned.
For Jeremy Bracco to be acquired by the Rangers solely because he was from New York. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the cartwheels that Montreal Canadian fans did when they took Louis LeBlanc over Chris Kreider just because Louis LeBlanc was French?
Oh, yeah.
In the 2009 draft? That's no, I'm not saying you're a Flyers fan. I'm saying we were talking about this other dude.
Someone else.
I'm not talking about you. We banned this other dude because he was just trolling after a while, and it was just like the guy wanted to be an idiot. So I mean, if you're going to be an idiot, then you're going to get fucking called out on it. So sorry.
The 6 players drafted after Chris Kreider. Do you know them?
Jacob Josephson.
Yep.
Magnus Paviari-Svensson.
Nope. No.
2009.
One of them played for the Rangers later on.
Peter Holland.
Nope.
No, who was the other Anaheim guy? He was an Anaheim guy that played for
Peter Holland was drafted before Kreider.
Oh, that's right. He was okay. So I had a guy that was right.
Actually, 2 played for the Rangers afterwards. They're both defensemen.
John Moore.
Yep.
And
there's a guy you should know because his dad played for the Rangers too.
Oh, Tim Erickson.
Yeah.
Tim Erickson.
Jordan Schroeder,
who was Vancouver. Vancouver took him.
World Juniors legend, and
because he had that insane World Juniors, and he just never brought it up to Minnesota.
Nope, never did anything with it in the NHL. Then there's Marcus Johansson, really good player, not on Kreider's level, but really good bottom 6 career,
a solid player.
And then Jordan Caron, and then the 7th player after Kreider was Kyle Palmieri.
Yeah, and the Anaheim.
That was a good pick. But then it's like Philip Paradis, Dylan Olsen, Carter Ashton, Simone Dupre.
Simone Dupre, that was Pittsburgh, I think, right? Yeah.
Simone Dupre was the Pittsburgh Penguins selection.
Yeah.
So the Chris Kreider selection in 2009 is one of their better picks, and maybe even the best pick they've made in the salary cap era.
Yeah, I mean,
Is there a better
you gotta
draft
think
pick?
about it. I mean, I go back to this stat all the time. He's the last player of the Rangers, the last forward that the Rangers have developed since Tony Amonte to score 30 goals and 60 points in a season.
Yeah, because prior to Kreider in 2022, the last Rangers draft pick to score 30 goals was Peter Pruka, and the last Rangers draft pick to have 60 points was Tony Amonte.
Tony Amonte, yeah. Monty had 30, 30, 60 in his first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they traded him in the third year. But yeah, Pruka was that random 05-06 season where he just caught fire, and then the Turner Stevenson neon knee hit basically ruined his career. It was in Philly. It was like right after the Olympic break.
So yeah, Chris Kreider is, I think, their best draft pick in the salary cap era. You could argue maybe Igor. I guess Igor is up there, but I
mean, he would have to be top 3, 5.
Top 3, yeah. In the salary cap era, I think Kreider, Igor are 1 and 2. You can argue which is 1, which is 2, but those are 1 and 2.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't argue Derek Stepan. He would probably be somewhere in the top 10, maybe.
I mean, they're slim pickings after these two, though. Like, we're Mark Stahl, maybe?
Mark. Do we consider Mark Stahl's salary cap era?
Yes, because it was after the lockout.
Close. Yeah, yeah. All right, fine.
I don't know which other player to round out the top 3 with. Because that's how bad our drafting is.
Yeah, I mean, can't say Shea.
Keandre Miller, maybe?
JT Miller, maybe? Like, that's how bad it is that JT Miller could actually be in consideration.
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel here for like first-round picks that became okay players.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people in the chat are asking about, like, who do we want at 5? I mean, it depends on, like, all right, so the word going around right now is, like, from Pagnotta, and Pagnotta's been hit or miss. I know everybody likes to bash him, but, I mean, he does have connections. He's hearing that Vancouver might not take Malhotra, if he falls. So, depending on what Chicago, I don't know if Chicago wants to grab another center. I think they might grab a defenseman at that point. I think if Malhotra's available, I think the Rangers would take him at 5.
Yeah, I just want them to get a forward. And the reason I say that is because it's easier to find good defensemen later in the draft than it is to find good forwards. If you draft in the top 10, unless there is a defensive prospect that really stands out, you should always go with the best forward available. And I don't even I have my favorites for that selection, but I don't even care. I just need them to pick the guy who turns out to be the best player.
Oh man.
Are we talking about? Sorry, I zoned out completely. Are we talking about the 5th pick for the Rangers?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it should be Vigo Bjork, but it won't be. So it should.
I think it's gonna be a defenseman. I think it's gonna be Carls, unless one of the top 4 drops.
I really hope it's Smith. If it's a defenseman, I really want it to be Smith.
Smith having a Moritz Seider developmental type curve. I really do. Like I could see the offense developing and just the fine tuning and working with that package he could be really, really good. And I wouldn't even, don't rush him into this lineup. Just let him just stew and develop and let him be a little bit of a project. And I do think at that point, the offense could come out and then he could come up and he could possibly have that Calder type season because just the toolbox is so tantalizing there, man. He's got everything I think you need to be a top pairing defenseman in this league.
Yeah, and I think he would complement with Fox really
Very well.
Yeah, the concern I have with someone like Carson Carles is that there's just too much focus on the offense, which I'm not sure translates to the NHL.
I don't agree with you on that. I honestly, I see too much of Ryan McDonough in him. I don't know if the offense translates that well at the next level.
It doesn't, and I have concerns in general because of that. I think that with the league that he's playing in, a lot of the highlights you see is because he has time and space that he won't get in the NHL, and that's my concern.
Why, Smits? Because this guy has every single thing you need. Like, he's big, rangy, lanky. He's proven that he can play effectively against men.
That was the other point I was going to make.
He's smart. If you want to talk about bad decision making, Keaton Verhoff and Chase Reed should be two guys that you look at and you say, some of those decisions might bite them in the ass at the next level. So
Smits does the things that Carles does, but with less time and space. That's how I view it. Although I think they're different defensemen. I want to make that clear because I think Carles does play, like Steven's saying, I think he does play a little bit more of an offensive style game. But I'm saying in a general sense is that the league that Smits is in compared to Carles, a lot less time and space.
Yeah, my concern with Carles is if the offense doesn't translate, is there enough on the defensive side that warrants picking him at 5?
I do, yeah. I understand that concern. I don't think he's bad defensively by any measure. I don't.
Look, I'm not saying he's a bad pick at 5. I think he's definitely in.
No. I'm not talking about him being a bad pick at 5. I'm saying I don't think he's bad defensively. I think he's probably a safer bet than a lot of the other defensemen. Verhoff actually could end up being the best defenseman in this draft. I hate to say it. I get the skating I get people focused on his skating, but I think it's the mental shit that really scares me more about Verhoff than skating. I think you could fix skating. You go have him work with a power skating coach, and power skating coaches would absolutely love to work with a guy like that with the long legs and a long stride. That's not the problem for me. The problem is up here with him. Because if
that's why I don't think he could be the best.
Hesitant with the puck, the way that I see him, like that shit is not going to fly to the next level because this much is the difference between a failed breakout and a clean breakout. And the failed breakout leads to more time in your own zone, which leads to higher danger chances against, which leads to more goals.
Phil, you don't have to explain failed breakouts. We're all Ranger fans. We know.
That is true, yeah. But I bet, Steven, you know me. I've been doing that for fucking 5 years, 6 years.
I know.
Now. So that's why I do it, because I'm so conditioned to doing it. It's not like I think,
inability,
Steven doesn't understand failed breakouts.
The inability to clear the zone.
He's being fucking traumatized by him.
Yeah. This is why, though, like, I really don't want Verhoff. Like, to me, he's not even top 5 for defensemen on the board right now. I haven't been through the entire, like, I haven't been through a first round worth of prospects, but he's not even top 5 for me right now.
I get it. You know what though? And again, here's the other part where I'll defend for him a little bit. He took the harder route, and he could have stayed in Cornwall, and he would have put up 80 to 90 points this year in Cornwall. He would have dominated the WHL this year. But like McKenna, he chose the harder route and went and played against guys who were bigger, stronger, and faster, and can make those decisions a little quicker in a tougher league.
Yeah.
And decided to test himself. And he played well enough to still warrant a spot in the top 5 to 10 selections. Like, to me, that tells me something about his character. Like, he didn't want the easy way. He wanted a challenge head on. And that's something that I think, and I know, Evan, you don't want him, but that's something I think the Rangers might look at. I really do.
And Phil, this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll go. If they draft Verhoff, I'm not even gonna judge them. I'm gonna judge them 3-4 years from now. I'm going to judge them
As you should.
based on this is the 5th overall pick. This is Drury's team. This is Drury's front office, his scouting staff, everyone was either kept by Drury or hired by Drury. This will all be on Drury. The 5th overall
you're right.
pick. They cannot fuck this up. If they mess this up, the blame should 100% fall on Drury.
So that beckons the question: when does the leash start getting shorter?
I think I truly believe Mike Sullivan is the last coach Chris Drury got to hire as a general manager. He doesn't get to hire another one. When Sullivan's out, Drury's out. I think Drury and Sullivan's careers in New York are tied together.
Yeah.
If one's out, the other one's out too.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
How much pressure is there on Drury with James Dolan seeing his Knicks win the championship now? Does that put more or less pressure on the Rangers?
Yeah, that's something I've seen on Twitter too, like lately, and I honestly don't know, because of the fact that Dolan doesn't know hockey like he knows basketball, or like he thinks he knows basketball.
He thinks he knows basketball. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, all right. To be fair, Dolan knows more about basketball than he knows about hockey. We could all agree on that.
Oh yeah.
So, like, I just think that there's too much of a disconnect for me. Like, I just think that Drury is in most positions. Steven, you were around old enough to remember this. How Sather had the ability to go up to Drury in Dolan in 04 and say, hey, this isn't working. We need to rebuild. You need to take your hands off and you need to let me do my thing. And he did. I think Drury's at that point because Sather and Gorton gave that blessing. And I think Drury may have the ability to do that. That's why he was able to put out that letter.
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the thing. He fucks up that Trocheck deal, he is going to have a microscope on him at all times.
Yeah. And also Sather in 2004 was a guy that brought 5 Stanley Cups to Edmonton. Right? This was not 6? 5. No, it was 5.
5, yeah.
5. He brought 5 cups to Edmonton. He had a lot of leverage, a lot of leeway. Drury hasn't won anything as a general manager yet.
No Hall of Fame resume there.
I don't think you have to say the yet part.
I'm being polite here, Evan.
No, I said no Hall of Fame.
No. Steven said yeah.
No,
I
added the word yet.
I don't think there's a Hall of Fame resume coming from Chris Drury.
I was like, I don't know about that.
No, if I were to ever say anything like that, I hope you would flood my page with Sunyan posts, because I would deserve it at that point.
Yeah, but anyway, this was fun. We'll be in touch before the draft. We'll talk on Tuesday. All right,
Tuesday.
See you guys.
See you, Steven. Thank you to Statboy Steven for joining us, and I hope he has a great rest of his night, because I know he's hours ahead of us. But I just, you know what? Thinking about it now, I wonder if they could get like Malhotra at 5, or maybe like, they wouldn't be able to do this if they moved up. If they could get Malhotra at 5 or Stenberg at 5, could they package to move up from 26 somewhere enough in the range to get Daxon Rudolph? Because like he might be the best offensive defenseman in this entire draft in terms of pure offense. I
still like Villeneuve better as an offensive guy.
Xavier's really good, man.
I really like him. You're saying to trade what though? To potentially get rid of?
Take 26 and trade and try to trade up with Dak and other assets.
Well, my thing was not necessarily for Daxon Rudolph, just because like right now I have other prospects I like more than him. But my thing is like I was saying it to Matt that I think the smart thing to do is you have 4 third-round picks on your hands. There's no reason not to. If there's a player that's falling in the draft in the first round, or someone that you might value, which God only knows who this team evaluates as good, but if there's someone in the first round worth trading up for, you could use your first and second round pick, your late first round pick, second round pick, trade up to get into like the 15 to 20 range and draft the guy you really want. And then you could use some of those third round picks to get yourself back into the second round if you wanted to. So even if it's not for Rudolph, I would not mind if they did it for just to look at my draft board for guys that might fall. I really don't know because the rankings are kind of all over the place. I have not watched Marcus. I watched Liam. I liked Liam. I would not mind Liam Ruck. I liked because the consensus is weird, or the rankings are weird, I should say, with this guy. But if Malte Gustafsson does fall, I'd like him. But I don't know if he's gonna fall into that range. I think he's just gonna go within the top 12, I would say.
Because I keep hearing Klepov, Hextall, guys like that. I don't know if that moves the needle for me there.
No, I wasn't in love with Klepov. I liked, again, pulling up my list here. I really
Tommy Blale might be.
That was the guy I was going to say.
Tommy
I liked
Blale is a good one. I think he's going to go higher than where he is. I think people are going to fall in love with his skating and his puck moving ability, and he's going to go higher than what the mocks are saying. That's my hot take in this draft.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was legit the next guy I was going to name. Another guy I have watched that I liked is Mathis Preston. I think I wouldn't spend a top 15 pick on him or a top 20 pick on him, but like a little bit later on, if he falls to 26, I would easily take Preston there. I wouldn't mind, I guess, if they took him, if they trade up to I don't know, pick 16 or 17, something like that, and got him. Yeah, I mean, those are just some of the guys that I like that could fall. Obviously, Xavier, really like him. He could fall for sure because of his size. Yeah. But I just don't see the Rangers drafting a player like that. A player that I'm not in love with, but I wouldn't mind them taking is Adam Novotny. I liked what I saw from him when I watched his film. But I mean, yeah, there are options there. I will say this. With a lot of the guys that I watch in this draft class in general, I was not. There were only a handful of guys so far that I've been really impressed with.
This is actually a good question. If Malhotra and Stenberg are gone, you trade back. I don't.
No,
unless the offer really knocks my socks off, I wouldn't want to trade back at this point. You would really, I think in order to do it, there would have to be a real good young talent that's established, that's close to really breaking out in order for me to try to make a deal like that.
The only way you could sign me up with trading back at all is, let's just say, because I want them to take Vigo Bjork, but let's just say they're not going to, which we know they're not going to, and say there's a team I don't know, obviously you don't know until the draft falls into place, but let's say Winnipeg wants to trade up and get Vigo Bjork at 5, and you could recoup another asset or two with that, and you could tell me that Smits will be there at 8, I would do it. The problem is you take the gamble of, is Calgary or Seattle going to take Smits if he's available there?
Yeah, I don't know if I feel comfortable taking
I don't feel comfortable taking that gamble either.
I don't know if I do. I don't.
That's the problem there. Maybe with Seattle, if you make that trade, maybe he falls past Calgary, but I still don't feel comfortable enough with that.
I wonder if Calgary would take Carl's. If Carl, let's just say your scenario happens. I wonder if Calgary would take Carl's. He plays right in their backyard. He's a WHL. He's a Western Canadian boy. Calgary's got to have a lot of eyes on him. would imagine that would be somebody that they would. And you got to think about it. What do they have on defense right now? They have Parekh.
Yeah, Zane Parekh. That's really about it.
I mean, and they need defense badly. I mean, they need
Do
everything.
they still have Kevin Ball? I mean, like that's about it.
Kevin Ball.
Zach Whitecloud. No, they got Zach Whitecloud. They do have Kevin Ball.
All right, I'm not going to clown on Whitecloud. I like him as a third pairing D.
Jan Kuznetsov is on their back end. Oli Mata and Hunter Brustevich is their daily face.
You know what? I liked Brustevich as a prospect. I do think that I think there is some.
Isn't there two of them though? Yeah, I think you're thinking of Henry. Henry, I think, is the better one of the two.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah, Henry's the better one of the two. Henry was the one drafted by the Kings.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, you're not wrong with Calgary with Carls, but like the thing that I'm wondering is, I really wonder how much a team like San Jose, because we've heard rumors how they might want Carls at 2. I wonder if they take that swing at 2. In my opinion, they should trade back if they're going to go with Carls at 2, because I think a team will gladly give a king's ransom to trade up to get Stenberg at that 2 spot. But the problem is that's where it sucks that the Rangers have the 5th pick, because if the Rangers had the 4th pick, I would say go ahead and trade up to make sure you get Stenberg at that 2 spot. But I don't think San Jose is going to want to trade down to 5, because I would even be concerned about Chicago potentially taking Carls if I was San Jose.
Yeah. I do see a world where they bring him in, because I mean, Levshinov has been decent, but Korchinski looks like he's on his way out. He hasn't developed the way that they've hoped. Alex Vlasic is a nice piece, underrated if you ask me, one of the more underrated defensemen in the entire league.
Yeah.
What do they have otherwise that pops off at you? Nothing really on the back end. Like they're good up front. They have pieces up front, but they need another piece back there. So I think if they could get their hands on a Carls or a Reed, I think they absolutely do it.
Yeah, that's why. Well, that's the thing. If San Jose's comfortable with one of Carls or Reed, then the Rangers could trade up to 5 or trade up to 2, theoretically, with San Jose.
I'm with Ben here, though. Like, I think the comments that both he and Sullivan made, like, really scream Reed to me. If he's available, I think they run to that podium and they take Reed and they don't think about it. Like, I do agree with the. I like Reed. Don't get me wrong. Look, I'm not saying I don't like Reed. I do think that there are questionable decisions at times. I think his pinching needs work, and that's something that you can work on. It's up here. You can work on it, and coaches will help you determine whether, like, they'll help you learn how to pinch at the right times. I mean, I think that's something you should have a better grasp of by now. But at the NHL, it's a split-second game, so there is a bit of coaching to it. But the hero hockey needs to end. Like, unless you are McCarr or Hughes, you cannot go through 5 guys and score at this level. It's not going to work.
My other problem with Reed is I just don't think for this team in general. Like, listen, this team needs a lot of help in every areas. But to me, I value, and because I also think I have Smiths ranked higher than Chase Reed. I know I'm in the minority compared to what the scouts say, but to me, I value more, for the Rangers' sake as well, getting Smiths than Chase Reed, who's going to be in a logjam behind Adam Fox, not getting power play one time.
Side,
to where
I get it. I agree.
Yeah, because you're not going to get the offensive production that you're hoping for then from Chase Reed. You're just not going to.
That's why I think ultimately it's Carls, because Carls is a left side guy.
Yeah, so, I hope it's Smith over Carls, but
I disagree with this, Ben. The guy that reminds me the most of McDonough is probably Carl's. Like Carl's is a better two-way guy than Reed. I think Smits is better defensively than them both. If you ask me. That just me. I think Smits. When I watch Smits at the Olympics, and I'm not gonna lie, I think you've probably watched a little more film on him than I have, but Smits to me, I think, is better at closing gaps. I think his recovery is better. And I think the range is also better on Smits, obviously, with his length and his height and everything. But I do look at Smits, and I just – a lot of different things pop off at me. And then there's that mean streak. And you know Chris Drury wants players who play with snarl. I could see him being pick at 5. I could. I really could. And I you know what? That might get that Yzerman audible gasp from 2019 with Seider. But you know what? If there's one player that I think you could take the risk on, I think it's Smits.
Yeah. And I agree. And the other thing that really stood out to me is, again, like we talked about him doing what he did against men, but how about in juniors when he is making it hell for Gavin McKenna during those international games? He was making it hell for Gavin McKenna. So to me, like, this is the guy that I want. Again, if it's not Vigo, Bjork, because to me, Bjork is still the guy that I would really want, but I've accepted that there's not a chance in hell the Rangers are going to do it. But if they walk away with Smits, like, I can't complain about that. To me, that is the guy on the back end to get. Like, you talked about the gap control, puck retrievals, the one-on-one battles that he wins all the time. Like,
he's an ass kicker back there.
Yeah.
He's an ass kicker. He really is. Like, that's the best way I could describe it. Like, that's a guy that comes in, he's mobile, he's big, he's lanky, he's rangy, and he has a mean streak on top of that. Like, I don't want to use Pronger's name just because, like, everyone go, oh, you're comparing him to Chris Pronger. Like, no, like, those are some things a lot of scouts saw in Chris Pronger at the same age. I'm not comparing him to Pronger. I don't think it would be stupid for me to do that. I'm not, but I'm saying scouts saw a lot of the same things and they fell in love with Pronger. And that's why he shot up the way he did in 93. I believe that Smith, let's take this out of the equation because I don't think it's just about that. I really don't. I think he's a guy that shows age and poise, or it shows poise beyond his years, I should say. And this is all right. So I'm going to go here because I like this player. I do. I like Bjork. My question is what is his ceiling? Like, is he Marco Rossi with a little more snarl? Or is he a better player than that? Because if it's the latter, sign me up for that. But Marco Rossi was a guy that was similar in stature and size. Although Bjork is a thicker, much thicker and stronger player, if you ask me. But is he a 70-point guy? Is he a 60-point guy? Yeah, like, is he a Rossi or is he a Stankoven? That's a good question to ask. Small teams don't win cups, guys. Well, Carolina just won a cup.
Stankoven just did. I think that was going to be my Stankoven was the guy I was going to say in all this, is like, I could see him being that kind of player. But then that's also, where you have the conversation of, okay, do you value at pick number 5 drafting a Stankoven type over a guy that could be on your top pair with Adam Fox for the foreseeable future? And like, that's where, I could get the argument in that standpoint for why the Rangers would take Smits over a guy like Vigo Bjork. But to me personally, I just value the fact that, well, there's two separate things. One, I value getting another guy that I think you could argue is BPA at that spot and does play the center position, especially because this goes in hand with the other argument is I think later in the draft, you could still grab a very solid defenseman and trade up like we were talking about before, where once you get past Stenberg, McKenna, and Bjork, like the drop between those guys, and I think the next highest forward I have is Wyatt Cullen, maybe. The drop off between Bjork and Cullen is pretty significant.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. I think Wyatt Cullen,
or I guess Malhotra and then Cullen is
the drop
off.
I knew you meant to put Malhotra in there. I wasn't going to say anything because that was just a given to me. But like my question is like when I look at Bjork and I look at Stankoven's skating looks very choppy, weird, unorthodox.
Well, I think Bjork is a better skater.
What's that?
I think Bjork is a better skater.
I was just going to say, Bjork, I think, has better hands, is a better skater, and I think is a better offensive talent.
I agree.
Stankoven, to me, is the guy that his motor gets him, his motor and his smarts get him points. Like, I don't think he's the polished skill guy that Bjork is. Bjork, I think, is a similar player in terms of stature and size, and maybe that thick, tanky type build. But I think Bjork is objectively, for me, a better skater, better hands, better playmaking ability too. So that's But I do agree with you. Like, the point comes down to what do you prefer there, and can they trade up to get another defenseman? Because the run of defensemen in this draft is very good. You're right, though. The run of forwards, after those big guys, Wyatt Cullen is the best after that, because you go into your Cullens, your Hextalls,
your Lawrence,
your Rucks. Are those guys nearly as good as the other forwards we mentioned? No, I don't think so. We're going to bring Matt back in because Matt's back here. Welcome back, buddy.
What's up?
Yeah, because at least with the defensemen, you could get Villeneuve late in the draft, potentially. You could get Tommy Blea later on in the draft. Those type of players will be available. And I think they have top four potential where forward-wise, a lot of these guys later on are going to be third line forwards.
Right? Yeah, I would say Cullen, to me, I didn't want to use his father as a comparison because I do think that I think he's more skilled than his father was. His father was just a very effective third liner. But I think there's some skill, but I think those guys at best could top hours, maybe second line centers. That's where second line players. I'm sorry, but I don't know, man. And to bend to this point, to this comment, I'm not saying Stankoven was a first line center. I'm saying I think there's more polish on Bjork, and that's where my internal dialogue, my brain splits down the middle, because I'd have no problem taking Smith. I have no problem if they take Bjork. I don't. Because I think at that point, those are the two guys that pop off to me at 5. And I say to myself, wow, these guys have the most potential left there for me. I'm Matt. I mean, I don't know what you're thinking, but jump back in because you just got back, buddy.
Yeah. Apologies that I had to leave.
No apologies necessary.
Listen, I think the draft is certainly interesting because there's a lot of ways the Rangers can go, and to be honest, because I've watched about 15 guys or so right now in terms of actual like film and stuff, and it's I've watched a ton or stuff, so I'm not the most in depth on all these guys. I know there's more prospect guys out there that have watched a ton more than me. I think, for me, the areas that I really, well, again, there's multiple areas that they can go. Obviously, defensemen are needed because right now the whole organization and system is lacking top-end D-men, especially through the whole prospect system. And I mean, they need centers as well. So I mean, like for me, I know like me and Evan have been talking, on the side because we've been watching a lot of stuff. To me, the guys that really intrigue me, Smits, Carls, and Bjork. That's really the three guys in that area specifically at 5 that interest me the most. Now with Bjork, I don't think they're going to take just because Drury and this whole organization just doesn't take guys that are so-called undersized, even though Bjork, when you look at his film, the guy is so skilled. He's a great skater, great playmaker, has a hell of a shot as well. All around, the guy is solid, but overall, the at least the reason why, even though we've heard reports from Vince over the last couple weeks saying that Bjork is a long shot, and even then, to me, the fact that they view Bjork as a long shot just shows and tells you all the organizational flaws within this franchise and tells you why their whole drafting and scouting is completely wrong, that they don't view a guy like Bjork as at their top end of the list. But that's besides the point. We know that this organization doesn't view, so-called, unless you hit a certain size criteria, you're not likely to get drafted. Carls and Smiths for me are the two in terms of defense. I do like the most because to me, I like their two-way game the most. Now, even though I think a guy like Xavier Villeneuve, which I think he's going to go later in the first round because he's projected to go around like 20. To me, just looking at the film, I think he has the highest offensive upside from any of the defensemen in the draft. And even when you look at some of the comparables, they compare him to like a Lane Hudson light, which I do agree. Looking at his highlights and looking at his game film. Because the way he's able to skate, move the puck, carry the puck up the ice. Again, some defensive deficiencies in his game, but I think that's something he can work on. But again, with Carls and Smits, those are the two guys defensively that I look at, and I'm like, okay, you need to jump on either of these two guys because one, both are two-way games. I think that they're really solid. Obviously, there still needs to be some development and still some polishing of their games, but that's going to happen. These guys are young. These guys are rookies. That's going to happen naturally when you get into the NHL. But they both see the ice pretty well. They both, whenever they do receive the puck, they seem confident when they do have the puck. Again, like their skating is good. Their overall playmaking is good. Specifically with a guy like Carls, I think his playmaking is a bit more better than Smits, but I think Smits' defensive game is a little more polished in my opinion. And the reason maybe, like again, for me, I wouldn't mind if they go either Carls or Smits. Smits is maybe the more safer route just because he has been playing in Europe. He has been playing with men compared to Carls, who has been playing in the OHL.
I just want to step in real quick and address two comments from Alex here. Like, I think you're looking at an 18-year-old that's playing in a league against men, and you like a lot of times these guys are not given offensive roles to shine in. Like, especially like in the Russian Super League and now KHL as it's called, like a lot of these guys coming in, they're playing lower roles where they don't really get the chance to showcase their offensive abilities. I don't want to buy into small sample sizes, but Smits as a puck mover looked real good in the Olympics against men. And he got to really he was given a little more free rein to do what he wanted. I'm not saying that Smits is going to be more insider, but like the developmental curve, the possibility for that type of developmental curve is absolutely there. The toolbox is there, dude.
Yeah. Not only as an overall puck mover, but I was very impressed with when I watched some of his game clips. That when, like, let's say if the puck does get dumped deep into the zone, he has to come in to retrieve it. He's very comfortable in retrieving the puck, and then either what's called using his edges to break away from a guy, or overall using his puck sense and his vision up the ice to be able to spot one of his wingers along the boards, or maybe a center who's coming down and deep into the zone to give him an option. He's very comfortable on the puck, and this is one of the things that the Rangers have struggled over the last couple of years, and this is one of the reasons why you see a team like Florida who has been very dominant over the last couple of years because they have those guys on the back end like Gustav Forsling, for example, who's able to come down deep into the zone, retrieve the puck, and start the breakout. Again, like we've been saying this with the Rangers for the longest time. Even though they have a guy like Fox who's able to do that, you can't just have one defenseman that is able to break out a puck. You need multiple. You need at least one guy on each line, or on each pairing per se.
And that was the thing. They did not have that against Florida, and that's why they lost that series. It's not because of the lack of scoring came from that, but they were pinned in their own zone because the difference literally, and I said it earlier when Steven was on, the difference between a failed breakout and extended defensive zone time, high danger chances, and goals against, and a clean breakout is literally this much. It is literally that much of a difference. It is a split second's worth. If there is the slightest thing wrong in a play, then you are hemmed in your own zone in today's day and age. And that's why defensemen do not play on their offhands. Like the vast majority, I would say 98 to 99% of defensemen in the NHL do not play on their offhand. You are left-handed or right-handed defenseman because it is easier to receive and make those passes and breakoffs because they have to be that pick. Smits, to me, when I watch him, I see a guy that can move that puck out. And if you want to tell me that the offense isn't there, okay. I still see a guy that could be a top pairing complement to a guy like Adam Fox, in the sense that he's able to get the puck and move the puck, or get the puck to him, or and I still think he's mobile. I still think he's rangy. I still think his gap control is very good.
Yeah, that's another thing. His gap control, his defensive stick, that was something that I also liked from watching the clips. But again, it's like with Smits, would you like him to be, an all around, great defensive player, especially, if he's able to add the offense to his game? Sure. Listen, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't want that. Like, I would love that, but I do love how he's able to do the little things right. And if you're able to pair him next to a guy like Fox, like that's the thing that Lindgren wasn't able to do. And that's why we start to see, Fox's game start to drop a little bit, especially towards the latter end when Lindgren was here, because Lindgren did not have the capabilities or the skill set to do the little things to help improve Fox's game. So again, listen, you don't need Smits to be this, all around, greatest offensive defenseman and all around two-way defenseman. But if he's able to just be a solid complementary piece to Fox, and he's able to do the little things, and he's able to help him out on the defensive end, and he allows Fox to go forward and push more to do more of his offensive stuff, again, that will be a great pick for me if they do select him at 5.
Basically becoming Gavrikov is what you're saying.
A younger, cheaper Gavrikov. Like another one would be like Devon Taves. And I think Devon Taves is a bit more better, but he does again to Cale Makar, like what I've been saying. Like, again, I think Devon Taves is a little bit more of a better defenseman than just a nice complementary piece. I think he's a very good second, or like a number 2 on a defensive Stanley Cup team. But again, he does the little things correctly, which helps improve Makar's game, even though we know that Makar is elite in his own right.
When he was playing with Ryan Graves, and then look at him when he played with Devon Taves. Like it's night and day. It's night and day.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, no, but it is one of the reasons though why I'm scared with that 5th pick that they're going to take a guy like Keaton Verhoeff. Which listen, for me, is there a chance that I'm wrong and Keaton Verhoeff gets drafted and he goes into the right situation and he develops into a solid defenseman? It could happen. I just don't trust it with the Rangers, because to me, he has the wrong skill sets for me to go into the Rangers, or because like again, like when I watched him, skating's not good. And second of all, when he has the puck, when he has to break it out, I just don't see a guy that's very comfortable on the puck in terms of the breakouts. And second of all, with the retrievals compared to a guy like Smits. So it's like I said, Verhoeff might go into another team, another situation, another development system where they're able to coach him and develop him to become that better defenseman and get that better skill set out of him. I just don't trust it with the Rangers. I think there's much more safer and better options compared to a guy like Verhoff. I'm just scared that they're going to take a guy like Verhoff because Drury sees size and hitting ability, and they're like, that's my guy. That's the whole reason why I'm scared, and I'd rather steer away from a guy like Verhoff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that. I mean, that's more than fine. I do think that Verhoff, I think he gets judged unfairly because, like I said before, like he took the hard route, like Gavin McKenna did. Like they could have both stayed in the WHL, and they could have been the 1 and 2 best players in the WHL. Verhoff could have been the best defenseman there this year, and McKenna could have scored 200 points almost in his sleep. Like, there's no way around that. Like, their numbers with with Cornwall and Medicine Hat last year tell you that they could have absolutely dominated. The issue I have is that there's a lot of talent with Verhoff. We talk about left side and right side needs. That's where I think if that really is the case, where they're prioritizing left side puck movers, you go and get Smits or Carls and stay away from Verhoff and let somebody else develop him at that point. And you know what? If Verhoff ends up being the best player in the draft, okay, then fine. Or the best defenseman, sorry. Fine. Okay. But do you take a guy that is a compliment to an Adam Fox? Or do you take the swing on Bjork, who could maybe be a legitimate top 6 center, maybe let's just say second liner with room to grow into a possible first line center? That's where I think the internal dialogue has to be.
Yeah, that's fair.
And no, I don't think anything of
No.
5.
Tynan, you know what?
He's a good player, but I don't think at 5.
You know what? Tynan and Lawrence for me, and I know there was the whole discussion, BU, Drury, and I know we joke around the fact that, BU nepotism was going to take him. I did watch him a couple nights ago, and to me, Lawrence, I think what Lawrence will be, I think he'll be a fine middle 6 3C guy. Again, nothing wrong with that. Just from what I watched from him, I wouldn't take that at 5 because I do like his two-way play. I think he's a very good defensive player. He hustles his ass off back on the back check. He is very physical. I just don't think he has the top end offensive skills in order to reach the next level. Now, listen, this might be a case, like I said, with Verhoff. Maybe he goes into another organization that's able to develop those offensive skill sets, and he's able to become maybe, like a very good 2C. Again, I just don't trust the Rangers as the franchise to be able to develop those offensive skill sets. Because, like I said, I like the defensive game from Lawrence. I like the physicality. I can't trust the Rangers to develop his offensive skill set.
Well, I was going to say, the guy that I don't know if it's a fair comparison exactly, but I could see his ceiling being not necessarily to the player comp, but just the role comp of what Trocheck is, where it's you could get away with him being your number 2 center, but ideally he's better as a number 3 center on a legit contending team. Because the tools, some of the tools are there, especially with the IQ that he has. It's really just he's kind of average at everything. That's how I felt when I watched him. Average at skating, average playmaker, average shooting. That's just how I felt.
I do sort of like that Trocheck comparison. I was actually going to go a little more old school with him because I think there's definitely a bit of a comparison for me when I watch him play. Before I say this though, I'm gonna true freshman, and I think if he would have stayed in Muskegon in the USHL, I think his numbers would have been a lot better. He was on pace to be the league's leading goal scorer and probably would have been top 3 in points if he stayed in Muskegon. I do think Michael Pekka, Islanders 02 Michael Pekka, is what I could see Tynan Lawrence be. like that 25 goal, 60 plus point, two-way center, physical guy, throws his weight around quite a bit. Like that's what I see when I see Tyler Lawrence. Like maybe he doesn't, maybe he's not as nasty as Pekka was in his day, but he plays a similar game. I think he's another guy that gets fairly judged unfairly because he goes and Ryan O'Reilly is actually a good comparison too. That's not a bad one. I would say. I just think that some of these guys took harder routes this year, and I think you're starting to see that a little more, and it's affecting the numbers. Like the one guy before that Alex comment, like to the point about Albert Smith, like those guys are not being put in roles on these teams that would really showcase their offensive talents. Like they're not the guys in these positions. They're in support roles. So you're not going to see that. Like you really have to watch very, very, very closely, like to see what these guys can give you. And I'm not just like saying watch the games. Like you have to be eyeing these guys on their shifts to really see, because you got to be paying attention to the smallest little details to get accurate readings on these guys. That's why the scouts are paid what they're paid to do, because they're able to do that. But I do like Lawrence as a player, but not at 5. Just not at 5. I'm sorry. It's too much of a reach there.
No, Lawrence is he's a mid-round pick. He's anywhere probably from in like the 15 to 20 range, probably. Maybe he goes a pick
I
or two
think he'll
higher.
go higher than that.
I do too.
Okay, yeah, maybe like 15 to 12, probably.
Yeah, I would say like 10 is his absolute highest. I think he'll go, unless some team really has him at the top of their board for whatever reason. But I think 10 would be the highest. I think realistically, you're right. 12 to 15 would be where I see it.
I literally have no way of saying this other than like just a feeling and just it just feels like a Blues pick to me. Like I can't explain it further than that. It just feels like a Blues pick to me at 11 potentially.
I think NHL Draft Pros, I watched his mock draft today. He had the Blues taking Lawrence at 11.
I could see that though. Like it just feels like a Blues pick to me.
No, you're right. I mean, he's kind of like a more physical version of Robert Thomas. Maybe not as polished offense.
He had because I just remember off the top of my head, he had the Blues taking Lawrence at 11, and then he had them taking Villeneuve, I think. It wasn't Villeneuve. It was someone else. I forgot he took. But yeah, I know he had Lawrence at 11.
He doesn't play like Franz Nielsen. I don't see that at all. Franz Nielsen for me is like, I always think of like Marcus Johansson as a full-time center. Like when I think of Franz Nielsen, like they play that type of game. Like not super physical, but like their IQ positioning and speed help them like be better middle six fits.
Oh no, okay, yeah, he had Lawrence at 11 and then Gustafsson at 15. I think that would be a pretty good first round for them if they were able to do that and get Gustafsson at 15 if he falls. Because I do like Gustafsson.
15. I can tell you right now, I would want the Rangers to trade up and.
What's it going to cost though to trade up to get him? Because you got to remember, Buffalo gave up Kesselring and their pick to move up with San Jose, and they moved up 6 spots.
Yeah,
something like that.
That's the thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know what it would cost to move up. That's really the frustrating part.
What?
I mean,
Evan, were you the one that said this? That you likened Malte Gustafsson to Forsling a little bit? Were you saying that earlier?
I didn't say that earlier, but I agree with that take. I think I see that too.
I do think he might be onto something.
I think Gustin has to work a little bit more on his offensive game and his offensive ceiling to reach the Forsling, but I do like his base defensive base defensive guy. I think he's very good in his own zone, and he's very comfortable in his own defensive zone. So I do like that baseline in terms of him. I think offensively he does maybe have to work on his game a little bit, but if he does, I could see the fours in comparison.
Damn, this sucks because like I'm looking at the draft order right now, and it's like it sucks for Gustafson's sake that like there's not really a team in the range of where like you could maybe get there first for like a Trocheck partner to where you could get that pick in return, like outside of LA maybe. But I don't.
Yeah, LA.
I don't know if he's gonna want to go that far out west. Like I think Trocheck's gonna want to be at furthest in a Central Division team if he's gonna go out west somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I understand your point, and I agree with you. The draft is pretty mid. I know people were talking about Beniers before. I am not trading a 5th overall pick for Matty Beniers.
Seattle's not doing that either. Where they just extended Bobby McMahon. They think that they're contending right now for whatever reason. So,
you know what? All right, I'm not surprised McMahon got what he got. That's basically that was the high end of what I said. I said 5.25 to 5.5 and 5.75 at the absolute max. So that was the absolute max that I thought he would have gotten. But you've got to worry about the shooting percentage. The only thing is that he did score 20 goals the year before. So I'm guessing like this. I mean, fact of the matter is, $5 million for like middle six players is becoming like market value.
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but it is what it is.
It's insane. And I can tell you right now that as the days are going on, it really freaking sucks that the Rangers did not give Cooley a long-term deal when they had the opportunity to.
I would be scared about giving him a long-term deal and basing it off of one season. Because, like, all right, we saw this year, he had an increased role. And, like, the numbers just they weren't the way that they were last year.
Listen, I agree with you. The opportunity for a long-term deal was the last when his ELC was up. Now, I'm very scared of giving him a contract. Like I'm really scared to know the number of what it could be.
No, I'm not talking about his number. I'm talking about like his totals. Like he took all right. So he averaged a minute and 46 seconds more per game, and took 5 more shots overall. Like, that's not good. Like, that's a guy that I expected to take more of a step up and maybe not be 30-plus goals, but be somewhere like the 25 to 30 range.
Like 25 and 25 season.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, I thought we were going to get 25, 25, 50 with, like, I don't know, like 100 and something penalty minutes. And he just never took that. And the hits, like, 302, like, that's awesome. Like, I love that. But the giveaways went up big time. 56 giveaways. Like, that's, and it just, I don't understand. Like the power play goal is only 4 of them. Like I don't think he's going to get a crazy number. Like I do think that,
man. This team gave Barclay Goodrow a ridiculous contract.
I honestly think he could probably get something in the 5 million range, just because, like I said again, like middle six players are getting that type of money. But I don't think he's getting like 6+.
I wasn't gonna say 6. I was gonna say 5.5.
I think that would be fair, considering what's going on. Like that would be.
I don't know if I'd want to give Will Cooley. Like if he has a similar season to what he just had, I don't know if I would give him 5.5.
I wouldn't necessarily like it, but that is fair market value right now. Like all the contracts are pointing to that, unfortunately.
That's why I'm saying, like, just back to my initial point that when his ELC was up, they should have just signed him long term then and there.
But did he want to, though? That's the question. He might not have wanted to do that.
Fair.
I
Fair.
mean,
But it's also, if the Rangers did want to, I wonder what the offer they presented was if they did try to go long term. That's what I wonder.
I definitely I listen, I agree with the point, but I just one, I don't know if I wanted to, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because if we don't know if this guy is stagnated. We don't. So, like, if he's stagnated and this is what he is, then he's probably not getting a massive raise. And it's probably good that they didn't go crazy on the term with him, because if he's a middle six piece, and listen, you get this out of a second rounder, you're pretty happy with that. Not all second round picks turn into star players, you know? So, and not only that, but they turned Elias Anderson into this. So I again hate the fact that Elias Anderson, it's a bust, but they at least turned that into that. So they got something out of it.
You know what, too? I'm making this entire point when, truthfully, they could sign Will Cooley to a 5-year deal. They could sign him to an 8-year deal. This team's going nowhere. I really don't give a shit. That's really what I should say. What difference does it make if he's signed to a shit contract or a fair contract?
Yeah, because what's the alternative? Dealing him away and continuing to go backwards? Like, if we're going to do that, scorched earth.
Yeah, that's also true.
We sit here talking about who they can sign, who they can trade for, who they can draft. Realistically, they're so far in purgatory. I don't see a realistic possibility that they get listen, I know we've said this time and time. Until that Igor contract's off the books, they're not doing anything. It's true, because you're so handicapped by that one contract. You're not gonna do anything. So,
yeah, Alex, that's what I've been saying. Like it's what the market is like this day and age. And really, if you want to look back on it, you could go back to the Kevin Hayes contract that he signed with Philly, when they gave him like $7 million or whatever it was. Like, that contract kind of screwed up the entire market for middle six forwards. So, I mean, yes, the cap going up like helps, so or hurts rather in this instance, but like the middle six players started getting more expensive because of that deal. It's the fact of the matter. It's the market. You know, Bobby McMahon, I mean, listen, that's whether or not he's Jared McCann 2.0 is to be determined. But I'll tell you right now, like, he's just another spoke in the wheel. His contract is not the reason these guys are getting, middle six guys are getting this money. It's just, he's just, again, another spoke in the wheel.
yeah.
But I don't, again, I wouldn't touch Beniers with a 10-foot pole, and I like Beniers.
Columbus not trading Fantilli.
Columbus is not trading Fantilli. I'm sorry. That's unrealistic. McTavish, I know everybody talks about the skating, but that's a player I would take a chance on.
I agree. And I don't know if the Ducks would do this, but like, just as the framework, I would really love if the Rangers could find a way to do a McTavish and Mintyukov package deal where it would have to be more from the Rangers side, but Trocheck and Schneider going the other way in that deal. If Trocheck's willing to go that far out west, it'd be nice. But
trading Schneider, it's a funny joke.
Schneider would, yeah, I would love to do that. I knew you were going to go and say Schneider. I didn't think you were going to say Trocheck. I don't know if Anaheim would want Trocheck at this point, though.
I mean, why not, though? They need another center, and realistically, who are they getting that's available?
Because he's well on the other side of 30. I think they would want somebody young.
But if they are looking to contend still and they can't get Larkin, I don't know. I mean, I guess because the problem is, like, I would say go and get Robert Thomas, but after seeing what they rejected from Minnesota, I don't know realistically what you'd have to give up if you're Anaheim to get Robert Thomas at this point.
Yeah, that'll be Tuesday. So,
what would it take for Anaheim to get Robert Thomas from St. Louis? Because again, that would be the guy to get. But
yeah,
if it's not Larkin and it's not Robert Thomas, I mean, really, what choice do they have at center to improve for next year?
I get what you're saying because they would have to go get a number 2 at that point if you're dealing away McTavish. I just have a hard time seeing them trade for a guy that's going to be 33 in July.
I mean, at this point, that's like the thing is you're wasting another year at this point of your team next year if you don't upgrade that 2C spot. That's really the problem.
Yeah, but their core is so young that they don't have to rush this along. Like, they're ahead of schedule. You got to remember that.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because they have a couple guys on the wrong side of 30 as well. Like, sure, they're not integral pieces for them. Like, you could argue they're complementary pieces, some of these guys, but
all right, so Troy Terry's going to be
also Ben is making a really good point. GMs do love to rush things out because I mean they're talking about getting a center either way.
Yeah, but Verbeek hasn't shown that so far, so I'm inclined to not believe that. He went and got Kreider because Kreider came cheap. Like, Drury absolutely got screwed in that trade because he's Drury. Trouba, they took the contract on, and all they had to give it was Vakanainen and a fourth, something like that. It was just, again, garbage contract, small return. Like, it was a buy low situation with a medium-sized reward, and they ended up getting the reward because the dude got 35 points and 10 goals, which is like his best season almost since 2019. Killorn, I guess that's one of those, we need a veteran guy there, let's go get it. Granlund hasn't worked out.
He would be there 2C.
Granlund could be there 2C. Do you go and trade? I mean, they re-signed Ryan Poehling. I think Ryan Poehling's their 3C now. Like, unless you really think Ryan Poehling is a fourth-line center that puts up 36 points in 15 minutes and 4 seconds of ice time per game, I don't know any other fourth-line centers that get like that type of ice time. But I just look at this core up and down, and looking at the all right. So Gauthier was their top scorer, 22. Carlson was number 2 and was tops in points per game, 67 points in 70 games, 21. Beckett Seneca, 60 points, 20. Jackson Lacombe, 58 points as a defenseman, 25. Troy Terry, that's the first guy you could look at that you'd say, all right, you could consider him technically a core guy, but 28 going on 29 over the summer, or 29 in September, I think. I'm sorry. Kreider, again, buy low. Granlund, free agent guy, brought in as a complimentary piece. McTavish, 23. Poehling, 27. Again, complimentary guy. Trouba, gone. Killorn, I didn't like that contract, but Mintyukov, 22. Carlson's free agent, 36 going on 37. he's going to be out of there. And then they have other guys that they could bring up that could come up. So, Lucas Dostal, 25 years old. That core basically is all young. It's all 25 and under for the most part. So,
well, the thing is, like, I don't know, because either way, the whole point of them trading McTavish is to get out of that deal, pretty much.
You know what? I think only to a point you may be right. I think they want a hockey trade in that deal. I think
that's
they want
why
a
I think
comparable player
Trocheck could be that, and
theory.
that's why I think Trocheck could be that. What if in this situation? What if the Rangers took Vetrano back? You basically offset a little bit of the money the first 2 years then of the Trocheck contract. If you eat the Vetrano contract, because Vetrano's making only $1 million less than Trocheck, and Trocheck has 1 extra year than Vetrano.
I don't see that. I just don't. Hey, maybe I end up being wrong, but I just
listen. I don't think this is happening either way because this is too out of Drury's league for a trade, but. Nonetheless, and also I don't think Trocheck's going to want to go that far out west based on what we've heard. But I don't know. To me, like, if the Ducks can't get Larkin, Robert Thomas is out of their range. And I get what you're saying that they don't necessarily have to force a move right now. But it's also like, you know, what kind of message does that send your young guys if you're saying, you know, hey, like, yeah, you guys just got into the playoffs, but we're going to kind of stand pat and roll with basically the same team going into next year instead of trying to add to what we have going on here.
I think Larkin is the move for them.
I agree with that, but does Larkin want to be there?
Yeah, that's a fair question to ask, no doubt. But I think they would realistically, if they're going to deal McTavish, they would like to get someone closer in age to him. I don't think they want to deal for a guy on the wrong side of 30.
Okay, would you do Lafreniere and Schneider for Mitkov and McTavish?
I would have to think about, because if McTavish is having these types of problems, like you're exchanging question marks, but you're getting Mitkov for Schneider, which I think that's a win for the Rangers.
My other thing that's a win for the Rangers in that scenario is McTavish has less years on the contract than Lafreniere, and you get out of a pretty shit contract with Lafreniere. Even though the McTavish contract isn't great either, but it's 1 or 2 less years, I think.
Yeah,
he has 5 years left.
And was Laff have 7? Because it was an 8-year extension, right? Or was it 7?
See. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So it's 1 less year.
6 years.
Okay, so it's 1 less year. If it was 2 years, that would have made it a little bit more of a difference.
Is the 2021 draft, so he's a year younger than Lafreniere. I just look at these two players, and it's literally, I feel like they're very similar. Like, that's like a change of scenery type deal. I don't know if the Rangers would want to do that, honestly.
Well, I don't think so either.
I think if they're trading for McTavish, they're sending another, like, I think that's where you would send like Braden Schneider out there. Like, I think you were onto something with that. I would love to open it up to get Mintyukov as well, just because of the fact that I think they would like to get a defenseman back in that deal too, and not lose too much depth there. But I think there would have to be something in there other than Lafreniere in order to make that work.
Well, my thought is with that is, like, I don't know, because Lafreniere, I would still say, is the best player in the trade, and then it would be McTavish and Mintyukov, and then Schneider's the worst. player in that trade.
I would agree.
That's
with
kind
that.
of how I view that.
I know. I don't think you're wrong there. I don't. I feel like you're trading question mark for question mark though. Like what like.
But you're getting Mintikov over Schneider then at that point too.
But is that enough of an upgrade? Like, because I think Lafreniere's ceiling is higher than McTavish's, if you ask me.
I just saw what you saw, Matt.
I don't know.
I think it's the same thing. But
Yeah, it is the same thing.
is it from Twitter what you saw?
Yes, it is from Twitter.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I'll send it in our group chat.
I was about to say like
It's someone that we all know.
oh god.
Oh, we all know him for sure.
Oh man, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I figured it was that. Sunyon.
Why on earth would you trade Cooley? That's a player who you keep. No, if you get a clear-cut upgrade, you move him.
No,
And
I think Cooley started getting overvalued quite a bit.
real
No.
cats in this fan base didn't want to move him for Robertson.
Here's the problem with Will Cooley. Will Cooley is a good player. But the problem with this franchise, this organization, the fan base is this organization develops so little in terms of actual good quality depth that the one actual time that they do develop good depth, the fan base holds on to it like it's the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, you see other organizations, they develop and draft like 15, 20 Will Cooleys. And then the one time this organization actually does it, it's like, oh my God, we can't actually trade him because, oh my God, we actually developed one good player. Like, oh my God, like, no, I'm sorry. A good functional organization is able to develop around, like I said, like 15, 20 of these good guys. The ones that they actually can keep, they keep. And then the ones that they actually can move, they look for other upgrades from other teams, and they look to add superstar/all-star quality talent. But this organization is so incapable of doing that, like I said, that the one time they actually do it, like with the Will Cooley, it's like, oh, we can't trade him. Nope, can't do that. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, the way that I look at it is that this fan base thinks that they developed like a Cam Schlittler or a Ben Rice when it comes to Will Cooley. I'm sorry to use Yankee comparisons, but like those guys came out of nowhere to become like and I have been very critical of the Yankees and the development of their prospects. But Schlittler and Rice, unbelievable. Like, Schlittler could possibly win the AL Cy Young this year. Like, he's the favorite right now for it. This fan base thinks that Will Cooley was not worth chasing friggin' Robertson. Like, I can't believe, like, the discussion in the threads on Fitz's. Oh my God.
You can believe it because this is the same fan base that didn't want to give up Kako and Offman for Jake Gensel. So, yeah.
And they're the same ones. And I said this to Matt earlier. These are the same ones that are crying right now that the Rangers couldn't give up 3 first-round picks to get Brady Tkachuk when the window's not even slightly open at all.
The window's a brick wall. There is no window.
There's no window to look out of.
Yeah,
Steel
I wanted
curtains.
Brady Tkachuk. Don't get me wrong, but as another piece, not to be the guy and not to give up that many picks to get him.
Again, you have to compare. The situation is totally different. Florida is coming off a situation where they won back-to-back Stanley Cups. Or okay, they missed the playoffs last year, and they just got rid of their albatross goaltender contract off their books. Yeah, they can afford to take a swing like Brady Tkachuk, especially when he wanted to go there because his brother is there. And second of all, when it's time to extend him, he's going to be willing to take a sweetheart contract extension because one, it's Florida, so the state tax is going to help it, and two, he's in a situation where he actually wants to play.
Also, Ben, I was talking about it under the context of if he was willing to, like, if we were playing pretend, binoculars on in the kiddie pool, if we were doing that, then they would, and he wanted to be here in that situation. That's what I'm talking about. But obviously, none of that happened. So put your binoculars down. None of it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still looking at that post and I'm just saying to myself, sunburn around. What, like, wow. Okay, dude. Any old wrestling fans know Barry Horowitz? That was his thing. The pat yourself on the back. Absolutely just stupid. But
Brady still makes no sense. You need players like Beniers, McTavish, and for good depth. Well, you need to draft and develop guys like that at a consistent rate, which is, again, why one of the main reasons why this team won't win with this group and why they haven't won since Messier. Well, obviously, Messier was different because they traded for him. But guys like that don't come around that often, either through, one, the trade market, or second of all, through free agency. That's why you need to draft and develop your own Elite 1C. But again, time and time, this franchise has shown that they're incapable of doing that.
well, that's what happens when you instead of tanking, you keep winning meaningless games. Like it's stupid.
Culture wins.
Culture wins. It's dumb. It's the same thing with the Giants. Like they could have had the pick that would have been the number one overall pick, and some team would have traded a king's ransom to get Fernando Mendoza. And what did they do? They ended up winning games and ended up falling down to 5. Like, I love Arvel Reese. Like, I think that's a great pick. But you could have had that player and more on top of the 2 picks you had in the first round in top 10. And you could have, it's dumb. I'm sorry, it's dumb.
Sorry, go.
No, go, Evan. No,
I was going to say, because, like, yes, Ben, you do have to give up stuff to get, but you need to develop your own players, like Matt's saying. You're not going to win just from building through trades, and the only way you could do, because trades are supposed to be used as a resource to help push you further along or get you over the top of where you are, like we have seen Florida do. But I'm not going to go down the whole rabbit hole because we've done it before.
This team is not in a position. I had their forward core pulled up on daily face-off, and I want to put my head through a wall looking at some of the names and some of the positions that some of these guys are in. Like, I'm sorry, they're not 1 or 2 pieces away. James Dolan and Chris Drury could think that, but they're also on drugs and they're also a bunch of dumbasses. So there's that. But any realistic fan that looks at this roster as a whole from top to bottom, I'm sorry, they're nowhere. They're not even. Okay, maybe no, I can't even say that. They're 1 or 2 moves away from making the playoffs, but still, making the playoffs should not be the thing that we're celebrating this team. I know this franchise loves to celebrate Eastern Conference Finals appearances and celebrate regular season champions banners, but that's not what we should be aiming for. But again, this franchise doesn't have any expectations. They don't have any standards. You know, again, they won a freaking 7-game playoff series, and they act like, you know, they won the Stanley Cup. And again, like, this is a point that Stevens brought up before. When you look at every team that has won the Stanley Cup over the past couple of years, apart from one, but again, that is such an exception because of how they were built through the expansion draft. Apart from Vegas, every team was built through a rebuild, and built through a rebuild where you strip everything down and you start legitimately from the bottom. Again, you can't half-ass it like the Rangers, where it's like, you know, we want to rebuild, but, you know, we also want to stay competitive. No, if you want to rebuild, you want to do it the right way. You got to commit fully. You can't half-ass it. And again, look at every team, whether it's Colorado,
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, Chicago did it. Boston did it before they won their
history and saying Florida didn't do it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because Florida didn't suck in the early 2000s, which caused them to draft guys like Jonathan Huberdeau and Aaron Ekblad with high picks. Yeah, and Barkov. Yeah, because that totally didn't happen. And then again, like you talk about the trade market, okay, they were able to build up that core, and once they established that they needed to make a change, cool. Then they went to the trade market, and they were able to acquire a guy like Tkachuk for Huberdeau and Weegar. And then they were able, obviously, to go through waivers and, make other trades as well for guys like Sam Reinhart and stuff. But I'm sorry, in modern-day sports, in modern-day NHL, you have to rebuild. And if you're not going to do that, good luck. Again, Vegas did it, but you have to look at the context, because the expansion draft, other GMs basically built that team for them, because other teams just gave them stupid offers, and they were allowed to take so much talent out of that expansion draft. And then also give them credit, they were ruthless and they were aggressive to get those top superstar players when they were either available in the trade market or B, entered free agency.
Well, they were outliers too. That's the main point. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said at the start of that, it's like what Steven says, not every rebuild works, but every team that wins has gone through a rebuild.
Yeah. And that's another thing that, like, all right, so Tampa had to go through a rebuild. Like, you look at Tampa, like in the early 2010s, they had a year. They went to the conference finals in 2011. They lost to Boston. Sagan had his coming out party, had that hat trick game. What happens the next year? Stamkos scores 60 goals, and they miss the playoffs. So they end up getting the triplets out of their drafting. They get Braden Point. They turn Jonathan Drouin, who was a top 3 pick, into Mikhail Sergachev, who helps them win 2 Stanley Cups. Their first round pick in 2012 was Andrei Vasilevsky, who ends up becoming one of the best goaltenders of his generation. They rebuilt. Pittsburgh, they make the 0-1 playoffs on the backs of Mario Lemieux scoring 1.5 points per game from his comeback, Jaromir Jagr leading the NHL in scoring. And what happens? They miss the playoffs the next few years. They get Sidney Crosby, they get Evgeny Malkin and Marc-Andre Fleury, 1, 2, and 1 in 3 consecutive years. They had Jordan Staal at 2 in 2006. Like, they're competitive in 2007 and all the way through until 2023. So, like, I mean, LA, they make the playoffs last in 2002. Then they end up getting Andrzej Kopitar. They end up getting Drew Doughty. They get all these pieces, and they come in and they win 2 Stanley Cups in a 3-season span. So, I mean, you have to go through it. And it's just, I can't stress the fact that culture wins don't do anything for a team, because a lot of the times when these teams are in positions where they're that bad, they're playing players that might not be on next year's opening night roster. And you have to factor that in. And then you look at the draft positioning as well. And especially, all right, one of the biggest problems I have with all these people talking about culture wins and whatnot, you cannot sit there and bitch and complain about a lack of culture in the locker room, and then in the next sentence, out of the other side of your damn mouth, talk to me about how culture wins matter. It's either one or the other. Pick a side. It's either this locker room is so shot that the culture is dog shit, or culture wins matter, or they matter.
And then the other thing, like we brought up, like with the Tampa rebuild per se, like the Tampa rebuild is so it's a good one to break down and analyze, because typically, like, when we say like rebuild, like we're talking about like 5, 6, 7 years. It's an extended rebuild. The Tampa one, though, and again, this goes back to the point where if your organization has a good base and good fundamentals, this is where you're able to quickly go through another rebuild. But the difference is not quickly in terms of you making certain trades and making signings, and you're speeding it up unnaturally. Tampa was able to do it naturally because of their scouting and their drafting. Because like I said, 2011, they lose in 7 games to the Bruins. And then 2015, they're right back in the Stanley Cup Finals. And 2016, they go to another conference finals where they lose to Pittsburgh. And obviously, we saw what they did in 2020-21 where they win back-to-back cups. But I mean, you look at their drafts, like 2011. Okay, they draft Vladislav Nemestikov in the first round, which eventually they were able to flip for both Ryan McDonough and JT Miller in terms of a larger package. Kucherov, they drafted in the second round, and he turns into a 2-time Hart winner. Palat, 7th round pick. Again, excellent scouting and development by Tampa. 2012, they draft Vasilevsky. Again, turns into a 2-time Vezina winner. Okay, Drouin. Again, they draft Jonathan Drouin in 2013. Okay, doesn't turn out to be a long-term player for them, but again, they're able to flip him for Mikhail Sergachev, and then 2014, Braden Point, they draft him in the 3rd round, and then 2015, they start to add guys like Sorelli, and then obviously through other things, they were able to add guys like triplets. So again, when you have a good structure and you have a good organizational philosophy, these rebuilds don't have to take that long. But again, that's the difference between Tampa and a team like the Rangers is Tampa has that good structure, they have that good drafting, and they have that good development structure within their own organization. And the Rangers, they choose to speed things up at an unnatural pace, and then that's why we see them in the position where they are now, where they're essentially in no man's land, and they're a good solid decade and a half to a decade of being able to actually put out a sustainable and a sustainable contender at that point. Like that's the difference. If you actually have the base layer and you have the good organizational philosophies, you could do it quickly. But that's the thing. This organization and the ownership and the front office, they don't care about getting it right. They half-ass everything, and that's the main problem. That's why they have it. That's why they only have 1 cup since World War II.
I don't know if they half-ass it. I think there is a level of incompetence. But then, like we said, with the recent rebuild that they did, they half-assed that rebuild because they committed to it initially, and then once they saw Trouba available, they saw Panarin, then they half-assed it. Yeah, all right, fair. That was a lie, basically. Like you told people that you were going to strip it down to the studs, and then. 16 months later, you're accelerating things.
Yeah.
I get that. That's just why I keep preaching scorched earth. You didn't do scorched earth the last time. You didn't.
No, and like I said earlier, even in the stream, the team was in a way better state when they sent out the letter the first go around compared to now. They didn't even, you could argue they didn't even necessarily have to rebuild then, but they did.
No.
Now they clearly do, and they're refusing to.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine though they didn't go through a rebuild and again put the binoculars on and play pretend that they had Ryan McDonough and Adam Fox as a top pair? That would have been sex.
Yeah, I mean, that trade to me was a trade that you didn't even need to. If that was the value that you were gonna, what I said originally when Anthony and I because Anthony and I were on off the post when that happened. What I said was that you could have waited and traded him that summer and gotten more for him than what you did because he had a lot of value. And a lot more teams probably would have been in on it. That trade also would have looked a hell of a lot better if Tampa won the Cup, though. I will say that. I think to be fair and objective, if they would have gotten a first-round pick from Tampa out of it, like that would have looked a lot better. What they would have done with that, have the extra first-round pick, I'm sorry. Have your fun with that.
What year would that have been, that first round pick again?
I think that would have been a 2019 first round pick if they would have gotten the extra first round pick out of it.
I mean, that draft was like kind of.
Because you could have had 3 first round picks in back to back years.
So, if we're going to play pretend here, the guys that they could have maybe got that went at picks 31, because at the time it was 31 teams or later. Ryan Johnson was picked at 31. No thanks. Shane Pinto was available at 32.
That would have been nice.
Arthur Kaliev, you could have done the Kaliev thing earlier.
No
Bobby
thanks.
Brink.
Not a bad player.
And
At 39.
At 35, anti Tuamisto. I don't even know who that is. Peter Kachekov. Jackson Lacombe went at 39, though.
Yeah, 39.
Niels Hoglander went at 40.
Yeah, I mean...
Or maybe they just take Matt Robertson at 31, for all the fuck we know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe it doesn't look that much better, but I still think it probably would. Like, I mean, I would rather have gotten the extra pick than not.
Alex Vlasic was picked at 43.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good player right there. Again, I think he's one of the most underrated defensemen in the entire league, but that's me. But I mean, to get back really to like McDonough himself, like at 28 going on 29, maybe you could have held on to him. The only problem is that he didn't have a lot of term left on that deal. So you would have had to make a decision to keep him on another deal because like his deal ran out after the 2018-19 season. So he had one more year left at $4.7 million. Did you want to give him the deal? Would you want to have given him the deal that he got in July of 2018? 7 years, $6.75 million per year.
What was the deal again?
7 years, $47.25 million. So $6.75 million per year. With a full no trade for the first 6 and a modified 12-team no trade list in the last year.
I mean, they ended up fucking buying out Shattenkirk, so they might as well have.
That is true. That's a good point. I mean, they ended up buying him out, and he just, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes to Tampa Bay, wins a cup there.
So if McDonough's there, let's just say he stays. 2018-19, I don't think they are bad enough to get Kakko at that point. Like, they're not bad enough to be in the top 3 of that draft.
Wait, okay, this could actually be a really fun game of playing pretend because then you also go down the rabbit hole of do they make the trade even to get Jacob Trouba at that point?
Yeah, I don't think they make the Trouba trade at that point because they have a guy that's they have a number 1 defenseman. And I don't think you make the Trouba trade, which means that you have an extra first-round pick in 2019. But where are those 2 first-round picks?
Well, one of them. Are you talking about what they were used on from that trade?
No, so I'm saying where do those picks fall? That's what we have to. That's what you have to.
Oh,
establish.
you're saying the Rangers picks.
Yes, yeah. So the Winnipeg pick, let's just say that still happens. Like they want to sell off some of their guys. Kevin Hayes probably goes because I don't think they wanted to give Kevin Hayes what he got from Philly. So Kevin Hayes goes. They still trade him to Winnipeg. Do they grab Thomas Harley?
Thomas Harley was there. Cole Caulfield is at 15.
Well, I was gonna say I don't think they would have been good enough to be a wild card team. I think they would have been right on the outside looking in, like in that Caulfield, York.
Boldy was at 12.
Range. Yeah, Boldy was there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, all right, so for an example, like this could be a situation where they might have been better off for it. Like, because
100%. I mean, given the trade alone, they would have been better off for it. But
of course. But
now, as we go down this rabbit hole, yeah, this is gonna piss me off more. God, playing pretend sucks sometimes.
Yeah, it does. I mean, do they pull in Arizona and go off the board and take Victor Soderstrom? Like, is that where they end up? Do they fall in love with Podkolzin and fucking take him? Or
I don't think they would have been
do something right and take Boldy?
Bold. The question then does lies: do they develop him the correct way? Which is that's a whole nother debate.
Does he develop the right way here, and without a Kirill Kaprizov in the lineup?
Well, the thing is, I guess at that point it depends. Would they have paired him with Panarin? Because Panarin's still here in this situation either way. Because he wanted to be here. They would have got Panarin regardless.
But so hold on. So they would have I'm not saying no to Panarin. What I'm saying is that they would have had to have given McDonough that deal to keep him in New York. Right, so his salary would have went up from 4.7 to 6. So that's a $2 million increase against the cap.
But Trouba's not here also.
Trouba's not here, so that's $8 million. It's not on your books. So you're technically gaining $6 million in cap space out of that. Oh. Yeah, this is.
I mean, really the other thing,
holy shit,
you could argue too, is to build on the point of, say they get that Winnipeg pick still for that draft, and they're sitting in that range where they're like, pick 14, 15, maybe they package those two picks to move up a little bit in the draft as well.
And they grab somebody that they have high on their board, yeah. Because, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I don't think they would, and even doing that, I still don't think they'd be able to get Byron. Like, to get that high up, because Byron wasn't
the highest they probably would have got was like 8th or 9th.
Yeah. And do they, I mean, we know they liked Zegras, but do they take Zegras there?
Zegras probably would have been who they would have traded up to get.
I think I agree with you on that. I mean, Boldy was the better player, but I do think that Zegras is somebody that they would have had their eyes on. I know of word. I can't say where I've heard this from, but I've heard word that they were high on him.
Then that's who they would have traded up to get. And if that's the case, like, for all accounts, as much as I've been vocal about how I am not a Zegras fan, and we even spoke about earlier, we banned someone when we spoke about it. For all accounts, like, obviously in the moment we wouldn't have known it, and maybe Kakko would have worked out somewhere else, but for what we know and what the players are right now, Zegras technically would have been a better pick. Assuming all plays out the same with their production and everything.
if you go onto Twitter and Evan, I don't know if you could see the comment I'm highlighting. I don't know if you're
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. If you type in like my name and you do the from and you do the Pavel Dorofeev, there is literally a list of posts that are going to come up from that draft night in 2019 where I am literally begging for them to draft Dorofeev.
Wow, I'll tell you, that's just as impressive as predicting this Tkachuk trade to Florida. That's impressive stuff right there.
I do. You're being sarcastic with me. I hate you right now. No. I was literally saying this in 2019 on draft night. I was literally begging for them to draft him. Like, I hated the fact that they passed up on him and they took Robertson. I was so angry. I am not trying to give myself a pat on the shoulder, but that is one pick that I literally was crying for, and it gives me PTSD, like going back and watching that, because I'm just like, this guy is going to be a very good player, and Steven was big on him too. Steven was big also on Patrick Puistola in this draft, and he did not pan out at all. So
I don't remember who this draft I was high on at all. I think one of the guys I was wrong about that went late was Cole Schwint. I thought he was going to be good, but I was wrong there. I guess at the end of the day, like I said before, I mean, if you predicted the Tkachuk trade, then you could get pats and belly rubs, but...
Well, listen. Not everyone can watch film on all 700 prospects from the draft, so it's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, not everybody can play Captain Hindsight and say that they predicted the worst kept secret in the NHL either, but that's another story. Neither here nor there.
That took pro level binoculars to figure out.
Oh, that's 3D chess. That's 3D chess right there. Everybody else is playing checkers. Yeah, I don't think the Rangers are taking Belchets either. If you're talking about the Islanders,
Belchets, I don't really like his game that much.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Like for me, like when I watched like him play, I think there's a solid player there. I wonder how high the ceiling is. I honestly thought after Greentree came to Windsor, like I like a lot of people were, Belchets is a better player than Greentree. No, I thought Greentree was better than he was. I think Greentree was just a better player during his entire time with that team. That's just me.
We'll see what happens on Friday. I don't have high expectations, but something's gonna happen.
I'm prepared for disappointment, and we're gonna have a special live stream for that. I'm not gonna announce too much with that, but we have a pretty big stream plan.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, well, I'm probably gonna wrap this up here. It's 11:30. I'm starting to get tired. I didn't plan to do a 3.5-hour stream for this, so I'm kind of like just running on fumes this weekend. But yeah, definitely join us Tuesday. We're going to be doing we'll be doing our mock draft. 3 of us, Stat Boy Steven, Mark will be on with us. Maybe even get some other guests here and there throughout the stream. We'll see what happens, but definitely looking forward to that. And then I think I think I might be doing on a live stream myself. I'm not sure about Friday. So, but thank you guys both for coming on. I appreciate it. Matt, you were able to come back for a bit. That's pretty cool. So definitely thank you for coming back and helping us out with that. Thanks to Steven as well for hopping on with us for as long as he did. I know he's like quite a few hours ahead of us, so kind of tough for him. So thank you all. Appreciate you all. You have a good night, and we'll see you all on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Guys.